Hello there. Price of Reason here, and I'm here with my co-host, Dreadroberts, and this is our Tuesday and Thursday nightly show, The Night Owl. And thank you all for joining us. Whatever platform you're watching, whether it's on Rumble or anywhere else, we want to thank you for being here. And how's it going, Dread?
Dude, it's going really great. I'm glad to be here. I'm always glad to be here, and we've always got so much to talk about. And our audience is looking beautiful. Very
Yeah,
excited.
I always love the audience for this show. There's so many great people, and it's so nice that we can kind of wrap up the day in this kind of cool environment where we go over all these events of pop culture, news, and gaming. And like you said, it's never boring in this field. There's always so much stuff going on. Uh, we could probably speak about it for 10 hours because there's so much going on, but we try to do it in a shorter time frame. It's a nice way to kind of wind down for people that are watching and really learn about everything that's going on.
Yeah, every time there's something new, I always feel like when I come into this show on Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's just me coming in being like, Price, guess what happened? You won't believe it. And we just get into it. It's always so fun.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. And I just, it's been a day. I feel like I've been up since early. How about you?
Oh yeah, it's a blur lately. I don't even know when I'm asleep and when I'm awake. When you're doing this kind of thing, it just gets wacky. I'm sure it does for you too.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's been a hectic day for me, but there's a lot of cool stuff going on. I mean, first of all, even in your field of gaming today, there was a lot going on. And it's funny because I was somewhere else and somebody was asking me about it, and I told them on that stream, I said, because I'm friends with Dread Roberts, I actually know what's going on. And I really said that on a stream.
That's awesome. And you really do too, because I'm like updating you every week, pretty much.
Right. I mean, your videos are very informative, and we also talk, and I just know that all this stuff is going on. So I think people weren't even aware that there was this thing going on with Warhammer and how there was all this DEI stuff surrounding it. So people were just intrigued, and I'm just like, yeah, I that was my street cred, that I know Dread Roberts.
Street cred, I know. I use you as street cred too. I'm just like, yeah, well, I know Price of Reason, so you can just shut up. And then that just makes everyone else go very quiet because they know Price of Reason's the real deal. Especially when it comes to movie stuff, man.
Ooh. Right. I mean, that's what I think is so great. I mean, we both kind of cover a lot of stuff in pop culture, but I get down to a lot of these kind of politics within studios or movie reviews and things like that. Whereas you really have all that kind of gaming and everything that's happening in that world. And there's so much going on these days.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot. There is. It's a
wild
west out there.
But let's start with some kind of standard entertainment stuff. Let's see, some topics that were. This is one thing that I thought was interesting that I wanted to share, and I actually don't think that I saw it being addressed in many other streams. So I'm going to do this here. I'm going to share the screen. I don't know. Can you see it?
I sure can.
So Participant Media, it's a Hollywood studio, and it's shutting down. Now, why is this important? Why is this an interesting studio? This was kind of a studio that, for lack of a better term, it was kind of woke before woke became a true thing.
Okay.
It was Green Book. It was Spotlight. Green Book there was a guy who was a black musician, and I guess he was with a white guy, and there was discrimination, and then there was some other thing. Spotlight, I think it was some kind of LGB something with black people. I don't really know, but what I'll say is that, at least what I'll say is that back in the day when the part that's funny is, back in the day when this company existed, I think that they made movies, and at least if you wanted to see those movies, you could, and if you didn't, you didn't, and it kind of made a name for itself. Even here, when they're sort of shutting down, they say, look, we were tackling the pressing issues of our time, and then the guy that founded it, he's like, look at all the social issues we touched upon and all that stuff. But you know what? At least they weren't hijacking anything. They weren't taking Star Wars and trying to shove a bunch of stuff into it, or Marvel, or gaming, or anything. They just took these stories, they told them, and I guess there was an audience for it, and I don't have a problem with that. If you're doing something that's your own original content, and you're doing that, and there is an audience that people want to watch it, and a lot of these were kind of small indie films. I mean, even when you look at the article, it says that they released 1 million movies from the year 2004 to today, and their total box office until today is $3.3 billion. Now, it's not bad, $3.3 billion, but that's $3.3 billion from a lot of these kind of little movies. You know what I'm saying? This isn't this isn't the Avengers here. This isn't even a Godzilla movie.
Not.
Yeah, I mean, you make like three Transformer movies back in the day with those kind of Michael Bay movies. You probably make this kind of money. 3.3 billion for them being around so long. These were very small kind of indie movies. Let's see what else if they give some other things.
How long have they been around? Do you know?
Since 2004. And they won 21 Oscars. This is the type of studio that would get often awards, only it would be for movies that nobody knew what movies they were, and most people hadn't seen them, but they were all very happy with themselves, which is fine. I don't really care. I'm saying again, not my cup of tea, some of those movies, but at least they weren't going and trying to hijack other people's. And I guess what I'm saying, maybe it's not fair that I said woke. I think that this was pre-woke, if that makes sense. Meaning, before they did this for a while and it was working, but then I think that there was a feeling that the type of people that were driving this type of social aware, quote unquote, content, they wanted more. And no longer were they content about making these kind of small indie personal stories, but they wanted to really go and hijack more mainstream stuff and try to insert those ideas there. So basically, this company, which was trying to do that kind of social justice, whatever, became a relic of the past, if that makes sense.
So they were doing their own thing for a while and it was working, but once they tried to expand, things started going bad.
Yeah, I mean, some of the names here, Good Night and Good Luck. That one, I think it was George Clooney, and about how journalism used to be more important, or the importance of journalism, blah, 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 whatever. That was one, if that's the one I think. Roma is the one that got all these awards that I think they showed it on Netflix. And it was something about an immigrant, maybe it was a Mexican lady that was something about illegal immigration. I don't know what. I mean, again, people can have different feelings about it. I personally, those type of movies often, I think it's kind of weird that there's a movie that 5 people have seen, yet it wins 5 Academy Awards.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know if it won 5, but you know what I'm trying. I think that one got like Best Director, Best Picture. It won really, really key awards. Also, that Moonlight one. And these are movies that if you ask somebody, did you watch that movie? They're like, what is that? I've never heard of it. But the Academy would give them these kind of awards and they'd all pat each other on the back. The Green Book was a funny one because it kind of wanted to have that kind of, again, a pre-woke situation. Or maybe it was already at the forefront, at the beginning of woke, or whatever it is. But that one kind of backfired because the family of the person that they made the movie about, I think they were unhappy and they said it didn't represent it, and they did represent it. You know, sometimes.
Are we talking about Moonlight?
No, Moonlight was I think 2 LG black people that like each other or something.
Yeah, I remember that movie winning over La La Land.
Right.
Like La La Land won like the majority of the Oscars that night.
And then there was that mistake where they actually announced La La Land, but they didn't. They actually meant to give it to Moonlight, and then they had to take back the award. And they gave
that thing was messed up. I watched that thing live. I'm like, what is going on here, dude?
And you know what? At the end of the day, when you really think about it, it doesn't even matter. They could have given it to this or to that. It's like, yeah, La La Land, whatever. Some people like that. But I think that was a movie where it was Hollywood kind of patting itself on the back. I think we talked about this. I like Damien Chazelle, but that movie was kind of for me.
Oh, by the way, we got rated on the YouTube side,
Oh,
and they are all saying hello in chat. Hello, everybody. How are you all doing tonight?
oh, it's Nick. 32 flavors of Nick Weiser. Nick Weiser is a great guy. He does Toxic Tuesdays, where I think they watched Deliverance today, and so great to have you guys here. Thanks for coming.
Yes. So
And
nice.
also, I think that we may get some more people coming from Diabolical Souls, who also I think said that they may send some people here. But great to see you all
Oh.
here. Really great. I hope you're having a good evening. So not a lot of people talked about this today, but I thought that it was significant that this company, like I said, was the pre-woke studio when there was nobody else doing it, and they were trying to do this thing. They've become irrelevant. It's like they're behind in the game. The game has changed. Now you have these kind of, even if it's for movies or for gaming, these type of, like Sweet Baby Inc., you have these kind of DEI consultants or whatever they are. This is like child's play for them, making little indie movies about diversity. That to them, they look down upon that now. They don't want little movies about diversity. They want
No, they want to be in the mainstream. They want to be where all the cool kids are.
Right. They want to take like Star Wars and make it for little girls, or not even little girls. I don't even know. Little girls would actually be better than the audience that they seem to be catering to, because I'm not quite sure what that audience is, but I don't know. But I'll. Yeah.
I know.
In any case, what I'm saying is that. Yeah, now they have their sights on something else. This is like like I said, a relic of the past. But if you ask me, I would have preferred that a studio like this thrives, and that all the stuff that they want to do, this was their best avenue to do it. It was situations that, if you wanted to learn more about things, if you wanted to feel kind of social justicey, then these movies were for you. And the good thing is that they were made on these small budgets a lot of times, and they made whatever money they made. They made the awards. They all kind of kissed each other's asses and said how great it is, and we were none the wiser for it, if you know what I mean.
Right, because it's their own thing. It's them trying to actually create something rather than take something that's been established for decades and then rip it apart with the social justice crap, which is what we've been enduring a lot of lately.
Right, exactly. And you know what? I prefer that, because if there's a movie about, let's say, LG couple that's black, and this is a subject matter that interested you, well, there you go. You have a movie for it. But if you didn't want to watch that, if it wasn't, let's say, the thing that you were most interested in, well, you can go watch something else, and that movie will be okay. It's not going to probably lose money, because it costs, it cost about $3 to make, so at least they can probably make the money back. So it was a win-win for everybody, really.
Yeah, but it's interesting that these guys, so they're done. They're done. The one who sent out the letters.
He did like an official letter. He's like, "Dear participant team, for 20 years, Participant has stood as the leading global media company focused on timely and emotional, transformational stories which speak to the world's most pressing issues." Pressing for who? I don't know, but whatever. You know what? Like I said, they were funding it. It was their own original movies, and they can do whatever they want. When I founded this company in 2004, I set out to maximize impact. It was a groundbreaking philanthropic venture that was the first, and for a long time, the only of its kind. I feel like this guy is also trying to say what I'm saying. He's like, I was the one that did woke. It was me. Like, you're all woke now? I was woke. I was more woke.
He should say at like the end of the letter, "It looks like we're no longer a participant anymore."
And then,
get it? Because participant.
Yeah, no, I mean, even that name is annoying. Even that name, the studio, the Participant Studio, participant, because you're not just watching the thing; you're participating in social change. That's probably why they called it participant, because you're sort of, for lack of a better word, you're kind of an SJW. You're participating in SJW affairs or something. I founded Participant with the mission of creating world-class content that inspires positive social change prioritizing impact alongside commercial sustainability. Since then, the entertainment industry has seen revolutionary changes in how content is created, distributed, and consumed. In any
Wow.
case, he talks about a lot of stuff. I read it. It's more of the same, but the bottom line, and it's like he speaks a lot. He like won't let it
Woo,
go.
wow. Look at that huge letter. That thing goes on for years.
Right. And he's like, even though I just like, there's a part of it that he's like, even though in the past few years, I personally wasn't involved in the day to day, even like on his way out, like throwing somebody under the bus, as if underneath, between the lines saying, as long as he was in charge of the top dog, it was good. But once he let some other people run it, they ran it into the ground. But it's kind of subtle. And then at the end, I don't know, I'll just skip to the end. As this chapter of Participant comes to a close, I am emboldened by the efforts of the next generation of storytellers and content creators who are building upon and reimagining this work. From philanthropists to producers to distributors to social impact agency. Social impact agency feels like that Sweet Baby Inc. thing.
Yeah,
More
it
and more
does.
individuals and organizations all over the world are recognizing and adopting impact models as core to their approaches. This all sounds awful. I don't know. I don't think it's the flex that he thinks it is. The ripple effects of Participant can be felt far and wide. What we have started together is just the beginning. Oh no, he sounds like a villain. He sounds.
Yeah, well, there's nothing more emboldening and motivating than getting shut down.
Right.
So
It's such a weird thing. He basically, they're going under, and he comes out and he's doing this kind of weird. Look, I started everything. It's thanks to me that you can even do all this woke stuff. I did it. It's me. And it's like, yeah, I don't know why you're so happy. All these movies are losing money. Your company is gone.
his name's
And pretty
Jeff.
soon, what'd you say?
His name's Jeff.
His name is Jeff. And really, I think that you know, I would have preferred that this company stayed, but all the other people that were doing the DEI left. But I guess the world has changed, and he even seems a bit bitter about it. It's like he feels he was the pioneer of all this woke stuff, but he's not reaping the rewards. He's not enjoying the fruits of his labor, if that makes any sense.
So they made an entire article about these guys. I mean, they did win a lot of Oscars, I guess. That makes sense, but
No, but it also matters that this kind of, there weren't a lot of studios like this that were so invested in this type of quote unquote social change, that like all their movies were these kind of I don't want to say propaganda pieces, but you know what I'm trying to say. Maybe that's a step too far, but basically the fact that they're crumbling means something. And I wonder if it means that just they're not relevant anymore because all the people went to these kind of DEI companies, or maybe even those guys with the DEI companies are in trouble. But
True.
and this is just a kind of a first step.
Well,
if that makes any sense.
It does. Speaking of DEI, who was it? Said Jama Lama said, "I love Sweet Baby Ray's. What's the problem?" Sorry, I don't think we're talking about the same Sweet Baby. The Sweet Baby we're talking about, we hate. We do not like it.
It's not the good Sweet Baby for sure. So what we're gonna do now is, yeah, that was that article, and I think it flew under the radar for people, but I do think that it did matter. Next, we have this one's a more fluffy one. You have Pamela Anderson is going to co-star with Liam Neeson in the remake of The Naked Gun. And you know what? I'm not looking forward to this movie. I hope that I'm wrong, but really for me, The Naked Gun is Leslie Nielsen. It's one of those rare movies that's a comedy, and I still enjoy watching it today. A lot of comedies become stale, or they lose their charm, or but there's something about that movie, especially the first one, especially the performance of Leslie Nielsen, that's pretty much timeless. It's hard to watch it with a group of people in kind of like a good mood and not have some laughs. And I really feel like it's such a kind of, it's an iconic thing, but it has kind of a cult following. Really, there is no need to make a Naked Gun with Liam Neeson and with Pamela Anderson. The original one had Leslie Nielsen and Priscilla Presley. So Priscilla, Priscilla Presley. I think she changed her name later, but you know what I'm saying. Elvis's
Yeah.
former wife. That was the perfect casting. I didn't need anything else. I'm not saying maybe somebody. It's one of the guys I think from the Lonely Planet or whatever it's called, Lonely Island, Lonely. What are those guys? Samberg and his friends.
Oh yeah, Adam Sandberg. Okay.
So I don't know if it's Sandberg himself, but I think one of those guys, Akiva Schaffer, I think he's one of the guys from that crew. I won't lie. I think that back in the day they had some funny stuff. I'm not saying that they have no potential. I would have preferred just do something original. I don't know what they can really bring to the table in terms of Naked Gun. I'm willing to give it a chance. I mean, Liam Neeson is a good actor, but I don't know, man. I don't feel like I wanted this movie, and I don't know. I don't know if it's a good idea to even remake it.
Yeah, and well, I will say, Naked Gun is probably the, if not one of the funniest movies I've ever seen, and it's basically a lightning in the bottle movie. To recapture that in a remake years later with Liam Neeson, I just don't personally think it's possible, because that comedy really is on another level. I mean, that's one of the only movies that can make me shed tears of laughter. And now I will say, Liam Neeson, I've seen him in some other things, some comedy stuff, and there are moments where he is really funny. So I think that realistically, as an actor, he could probably bring us, a serious personality to like a movie like that, and then I think that he could capture that, some of that humor, but I just don't think that the jokes will be able to land as they did in the 80s. Plus, like, those what was that? When did that movie come out?
That was like in 1987 or 1988, something like that.
Yeah, I just don't think that they can, some of the jokes that were told back then, they wouldn't even dare tell in this modern day and age.
No, they
Hollywood
wouldn't
would never
dare.
let it happen.
It was such that first movie. I mean, I like the second one, and I can tolerate the third one, but really the first Naked Gun, even today you put it on, it just Leslie Nielsen gives a masterclass in comedy in that movie. And Liam Neeson, he does have one quality that I understand why they wanted him. One of Leslie Nielsen's gifts is that he could speak very seriously. Even the dumbest thing that you give him to say, he'd have
Right.
this kind of very deadpan delivery. And
Yeah.
honestly, I can't think of anybody that could do that specific thing better than Leslie Nielsen. And with all due respect to Liam Neeson, I think he can probably do a version of that, but I
Mhm.
don't know if he could do it that well, because in addition to the deadpan delivery, Leslie Nielsen also knew how to bring this kind of funny expressions that were almost animated. He knew how to balance between this kind of comedic approach along with deadpan delivery. And I don't know that Liam Neeson is on. He's a terrific actor. He's fantastic. He's really fantastic. But
Yeah.
I don't know if he's right for that. And maybe they kind of thought we'll throw in Pamela Anderson because that's kind of such a to the other direction. I mean, she can barely. I don't. She's not the best actress.
I haven't even seen her in years. I don't know what she looks
Yeah, I
like
don't
or what
even
she's
know what
been
she
up
looks
to.
like now. That's the other thing. It's like, I don't know
Well,
about any of this. I
do you
feel
happen to
like,
know who the director is by chance, or the
yeah, I
writer?
think it's Akiva Schaffer from the Lonely Planet thing. Let me see
Oh,
if it
okay.
says it.
Okay.
Lonely Island. So the actor Akiva Schaffer is directing the comedy, which has a script by Dan Greger, Doug Mand, and Schaffer. The trio were behind the
Hmm.
popular and Emmy-winning Disney Plus movie Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Now, I saw Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, and for whatever it was supposed to be, it wasn't the worst movie. It was dumb, it was kind of like a meta movie, cartoon, whatever. I saw it on TV, or it was one of those streaming things. It wasn't the worst thing that I'd ever seen, but it's also not something that I sit around and think this is a classic or that it really delivered. This is a different type of laugh. These are different type of laughs that need to be delivered here.
Yeah.
It's like you said. I don't know if they could get away with the type of humor you saw in that first one here.
Oh, well, this is interesting. I was just reading while you were talking about that, and it said, oh, wait. Oh, okay. So, okay. So it's talking about the original Naked Gun. Never mind. Yeah, I don't think this could happen, man, because comedy just isn't the same that it was. And people are willing to take less risks than they used to be willing to take. especially with so much pressure from the bigger parts of Hollywood that are trying to hunker down on getting this message out to people. Just like navigating a comedy seems like a really difficult thing. And if you're going to remake The Naked Gun, I mean, that you have to bring your A game, dude, because that comedy, I'm telling you, it's on another level. I don't think there's a funnier scene than both than interrogating him with the dollar. They're switching out the 20s with each other. Oh yeah, maybe this will change your mind. And then the other scene where the dude throws the pillow at Frank Drebin, and he catches it on his face like he was just taking advantage of. One of the funniest things ever. So I've tried to imagine Liam Neeson in this role. It's just he's got like humongous shoes to fill. It's like trying to fit into an elephant's shoes. I just don't think it's possible.
No, I don't think so either. I think that I don't think he can do it.
Plus,
And he's such
for
a
all
good
things
actor.
considered, no OJ either. Gonna make things a little difficult. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
You know what? I know this is a touchy subject matter, and I'm no fan of OJ. Even he passed away, whatever. I'm not a fan of the guy. I will say that prior to everything that happened to OJ, I didn't dislike him in this movie. I know that later his life and everything took a dark turn, but initially when I saw The Naked Gun, I thought he was funny, surprisingly funny in the movie.
I thought he was hilarious, dude. The beginning. Oh, dude, oh my goodness. Okay, so yeah, the beginning when he's getting just like the crap beat out of him by the most circumstantial objects placed everywhere. The funniest thing with him, OJ, later, is when he's trying to talk to Frank Drebin, but like I guess there's a miscommunication. So he's like, "Wait, what? Drugs? Give this man more drugs." He's like, "No," just shoves the needle in his arm.
He's like, "No, heroin, Frank, heroin." He's like, "You're gonna have to give me a few days on that."
Yeah.
That's just priceless. And really, the anchor there is Leslie Nielsen. He manages to deliver one of the best comedic performances that I've ever seen, probably.
I agree.
In older times, I guess, in older movies, you can think of like Charlie Chaplin and things like that. I think that when it comes to somebody that really gives like a perfect comedic performance in the 80s, I would have to give it to him. It's just perfect. It's a perfect performance. And I think it's underrated. It's really difficult to manage to balance that kind of comedy with a deadpan delivery. And he did it so well that people would just bring him for movies over and over again to just kind of do the same shtick over and over again. He built a whole career out of it. And I know people that until today, even these lesser movies of his, they'll sit around and watch them. Recently, I was with a friend and he's like, "Let's watch this one." And it was some weird one. It was dumb. I don't even know what it was. And even so, I still found myself chuckling. He's still funny. Even in a poorly written movie, he was still pretty good.
That's true, because years later I saw him in Scary Movie 3, where they're doing those alien tests with that like device in that big I think it was just Congress or whatever. And he's just basically playing the same character. That's like a 2003 movie. I mean, this dude's just pushing out these roles, playing the same person. So I've seen him around. I mean, he's been doing it a while.
I mean, the thing is that the funny thing about him is that so many years of his career, he was always doing just kind of these serious roles, but he apparently always wanted to do comedy. And once he got this opportunity, he really seized it. But I don't know that Liam Neeson wanted to do comedy.
Yeah.
I think Liam Neeson, this is a late career thing that he's just going to have some fun with, collect a check, and he's probably going to do the best he can. But I have a sneaky suspicion that it's probably not going to go very well.
But you know what? Like, I honestly, just hearing about it and just thinking about Liam Neeson, because I think he can play a deadpan character that just says the funniest thing, but in the most serious, monotonous way ever. I would be willing to go and see a movie like that if this is just a movie. Like, if there is any nonsensical pandering, I'm out. I am out.
I mean, Seth MacFarlane and I don't know who Erica Huggins are producing via their company Fuzzy Door. Seth MacFarlane, you
It's really
know,
based. I
like
recall.
I mean, I like Ted. I like those Ted movies that Seth MacFarlane did. I liked maybe the first 2 seasons of Orville, but Seth, you know, his. I'm not saying he's going to make this political or anything like that, but Seth is some of the things he does I like, but I kind of have mixed feeling about him sometimes. Not everything he does is great. I think that
Fair.
he knows what he's doing with Family Guy. I think that he had some good ideas with the Orville, but sometimes there's also misses. He's not always slam dunk.
True. What do you think his views? I mean, if you'd say a direction he would lean in general, what would you say politically that Seth
He's
MacFarlane?
totally left. He's 100% left, probably extreme left. But I think that in the past, I've seen even tweets of his or something, and key times he voiced different opinions, and I think that he's totally extreme left leaning like most of Hollywood. But I think that at least he knows that when he makes stuff, he tries to not do it in I mean, sometimes you have a case where maybe some guy is a writer or a director, but he doesn't base his comedy or his work just on his political opinions. I feel like on many occasions or most occasions, he remains rather neutral. The only thing I'll say is that the final season of the Orville, which also got a lot of support from Hulu and was shown on Disney, he really started crossing the line there from kind of more social commentary to a little more political. It wasn't as bad as some of the other things like Marvel or some of the different things. It wasn't a disaster, but there was a feeling. For example, I think there were 10 episodes, and 2 of them dealt with these 2 aliens that have a girl, and they want her to do a sex change operation or something like that. I felt like that was too much. Especially back in the day in Star Trek, you had 25 episodes a season, Next Generation or whatever it is. So 25 episodes a season, maybe there's a topic or something that you don't love, but they explore it a few times. It's not such a big deal. But when you only have, or I think it was 10 episodes, 8 or 10 episodes, and 2 of them are this, it's a bit much, and it feels like why did we need 2 episodes with it? It didn't feel like a saga that I needed to spend so much time on, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, fair enough. Actually, Whalem03, he said something really funny. Imagine a Liam Neeson and Leslie Nielsen movie.
That would have been interesting if Leslie Nielsen was still alive. That probably would have been a good idea.
Yeah. Do you know how? Did you notice how alike their names sound? Liam Neeson, Leslie
Yeah,
Nielsen.
I was wondering if that was the reason why they cast him, because it's a kind of, and when we were talking about him, I was confusing the names because it's similar names.
Man,
But
they do sound really alike.
we'll have to see what happens with this movie. To our next story. Hold on. I feel like I have to sneeze, but then I block the sneeze. I was able to keep the sneeze at bay.
Not
So,
today, sneeze.
do you see this article with Sylvester Stallone?
Mm-hmm.
So apparently he posted and I have this on Twitter. Let me see if I can pull this up. He posted a photo today of him on the set, and he's kind of like really looking happy on the set of this thing.
Oh, so he got back on. So he's back. So how long was he out?
I think he was out for 5 minutes. I don't think this whole story sounded like nonsense to me, and I couldn't be happier. I think that this thing, Sylvester Stallone has always been something that the media doesn't love. They don't always embrace him. He's considered, I believe, more right-leaning in his views. A few times they found that he played golf at Mar-a-Lago or something. It's not like he was even playing with Trump or anything. He played.
Well, how dare he? How dare he play golf?
Right. So he played golf at a place that belonged to Trump. I don't know what. I think it's very petty. But anytime they see that, I've seen the media start like, look at Sylvester Stallone, like going to play golf or the thing. It's like, who gives a shit? He's Sylvester Stallone. He's in Florida. There's a golf course. He went there. I don't think it really matters or doesn't matter. I don't see him all day go out and talk about a certain candidate that he likes or doesn't like. He kind of just sticks to his own thing and minds his own business. but they don't like him because they feel like he's sort of not going along with kind of the more woke Hollywood thing, and they also see him as the old guard. He's
Yeah,
he's a
an old
straight,
dog.
yeah, he's a muscular straight white male. Even now that he's like old, he still looks like he could punch you.
Just stomp anybody. Yeah, that's pretty insane. I mean, up in his age too, but I mean, like
Right.
that's what they hate. They hate nonconformity. There's nothing they hate more.
Mars Monkey Max says Sly just ordered some aquascapes from my store. I don't know what that means, but
What the heck is an aquascape?
I don't know.
Should we even ask what an aquascape is? Are we allowed to say that word?
I don't know. But this is very much kind of a man's man, and that makes him a target. He seems to lean right in his views. He's kind of a man, even at an older age. He still kind of goes to the gym, and he has that kind of bravado and charisma, and they don't like any of it. And I feel like for years, they've always they've always kind of looked down on him for many years, but
Yeah.
I think that even though a lot of people may know him with these kind of action movies, he did write Rocky, and I think that he's great in that role. And I think that, you know, the movies that he directed in the Rocky series and things like that, I think that he knows what he's doing. And on this show,
Yeah.
he's at least an executive producer. I'm sure he has some input, although it's also Taylor Sheridan's show, and he does his own thing also. But
Yeah, and
yeah,
plus, like Taylor Sheridan's a professional. I mean, he's like top dog writer out there right now,
right,
and so
right.
he's gonna, you know, he probably has a really good professional relationship with Sylvester. I just don't think that if there was anybody out there attempting to cancel him, I don't know why they thought it would work. He's Sylvester Stallone.
They've tried this before. You know, when there was the whole Me Too movement. I don't the me fuck it. When there was the Me Too movement, I don't know. I never know what gets flagged. But you know what? On Rumble, I think we can speak rather freely. So when there was that whole movement, they tried to conjure up something against Sylvester Stallone. But as quick as they tried to conjure that up, it disappeared. I had people refuting it from every angle. There was nothing to support any claims. It was just some stupid nonsense. But it didn't. They certainly tried, even then. But with the speed that the whole thing kind of went away, it's really hard. It's really hard. I think that I don't know if it's a weird thing to say. I think that guys can put up with a lot of bullshit, but if you go after Stallone, I think that that's already like that's an issue.
That's just a terrible mistake. I mean, just don't even try, dude. That's like going after Clint Eastwood, man.
Right.
A legend from his time. It's just don't even try. These people are nuts.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. I mean, they try that with Clint Eastwood. They try that with Stallone. Those things don't work. Yeah, the guy from West Side Story that with Rachel Ziegler, they were able to cancel him, but you know he wasn't
Right.
really on the top of anybody's. Nobody really even knew who he was, so like it's easy to cancel a guy like that. Although I still
Ansel
don't think,
Elgort, right?
yeah, although I still don't think it's nice that they canceled him. I think that what they did there was not cool. But I'm saying like they could get away with a guy like that because he doesn't have that kind of track record. He doesn't have a fan base. Well, when you come to Stallone, you come to Clint Eastwood, you're really wasting you're wasting your time.
Yeah, I mean, because you're not just coming after him. You're coming after a lot of fans, and you're coming after like by coming after him, you're also coming after a lot of people who have worked with him and respect him, and there are a lot of people like that. So
For
yeah,
sure.
so no surprise that he's back on set, and like you said, he looks really thrilled. To be
Really
back.
thrilled to be there. He seems happy. He posted this picture today or something, like he's happy. And I even said the whole scandal is that somebody claimed that they thought that they heard him tell the director that in that scene that they were supposed to be maybe at a club and there was supposed to be a young crowd of 20 to 35 years old, there were a few people there, and he said that like he thought they were fat or ugly and fat, or I don't know what. That was something that somebody thought that they heard him say. It's such hearsay because it hasn't been corroborated, and even a few people went and said, I was there, I never heard him say anything. So it's more like just people bickering, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Just
right.
it's people being offended today for no reason. And really, honestly, even if he walked on the set and he whispered to the director, what happened to all the young people that were supposed to be in the scene? These guys are old and fat. I think that's fine. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I understand him. I understand him. I'm not 20 years old. I'm not a 20-year-old happening whatever. And I also, when I watch it, if he's supposed to be in a place where that's the type of people that are hanging around, I prefer to see what is right for that scene. And
Yeah.
listen,
Well,
I
yeah.
sometimes, people also need to have to be able to laugh at themselves, or I don't know how to explain it, but I assume that if he did, and I don't think that he actually said it, even if he said, "Oh, this guy is like fatso and he's old," I mean, whoever was the old fatso knew he was an old fatso. I'm sure of it.
Yeah. Well,
It wasn't a secret. It wasn't a secret. And if somebody
yeah.
came and says like stuff like that to me, "Hey, you gained a few pounds," oh, like even like friends or something would have said something. There's different times, Sometimes you go up, sometimes you go down. I try my best to not be completely whatever, but I'm saying, if a friend of mine said that to me or somebody, I'm not gonna. That's what's gonna ruin their lives. That somebody overheard that he said the director that there was a fatso there. I don't know, man. That's
Yeah,
just
plus, I mean, we confirmed last time we were talking about this. We confirmed that the fat guys who were in the back signed up as fat extras. They were just apparent. He's like, so if he did say that, who in the world would that offend when that's the role that these guys signed up to be?
they know they're fatsos. I don't think this was a secret. They thought that they were skinny. You know what I'm saying? Like, plus this guy has been going to the gym every day for 80 years. You know what I'm saying? Look at
Yeah,
him. If he
and
goes
there's
on
a
and yeah, I understand him. He walks on. He's Sylvester Stallone. He's going to the gym all day. He sees there was supposed to be a young crowd there, and suddenly there's a few older plump people. So and there's no evidence that he even said it, but I'm saying I'm taking the worst case scenario. I'm taking the
right,
worst
right.
case scenario and saying he's guilty. He said that guy was a fatso. And you know what? Even if he did, I do not care. I don't care at all. It means nothing to me. That
Yeah.
is just people having meltdowns over nothing.
Yeah,
And
and even if that did, like, even if he did say that, directors, producers, the people that have put these shows and movies together, they're not the only ones with a creative vision, or at least trying to contribute to it. Sylvester Stallone has been in countless movies, which means that over time he has established what angle he looks best at, like the most visually pleasing that he is, with whatever background works best behind him. I mean, these actors who are in the game for a long time take into consideration every factor that brings out the best of them on camera. So if he goes over to the director and tells him, "Hey, these people don't look good back here," and this dude's been in the film industry for decades, he's probably onto something. And maybe these people don't understand that because they're so pent up in their emotions that they just can't see things rationally.
absolutely. And he's a professional. He's been even though people know him as an action star, he's written a movie that won best Academy Award, a movie where he wasn't
I
considered the director on that first Rocky, but
He
he
wrote
really,
Rocky. He
yeah, I
wrote
mean,
it.
he wrote it and he starred in it. That first movie, he deserved an Oscar. I think that he
Mhm.
didn't get it because at the time they didn't make him a producer because it was his first movie. But honestly, he deserved the Oscar for that. He was nominated, I think, for writing screenplay. He was nominated for Best Actor, and then years later, he was again nominated for Best Actor. That's like such an iconic role, and he made
Yeah.
that. He created that role. He's just amazing in it. And even though he has this kind of, he looks like he makes funny faces and whatever, he actually is smart and knows how to get things done. He has a lot of great ideas, and he's an industry, not only industry veteran. A lot of times people are very kind of ungrateful in the sense that this industry, especially all these kind of publications or all these kind of people that within Hollywood that are trying to bash him, this guy generated billions of dollars for Hollywood for years. You needed people like that. You needed people to make movies that people will go and they'll make a ton of money. He is very, very important, and he's made a lot of people in that town a lot of money. And I think that now, when he's close to 80, to start bothering him, if he once said that there was a fatso on set, which it's not even proven that he did, I think it's bullshit. Nothing personal, but that's what I think.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I
And
I
I'm
just don't
happy to
see
see
it.
him on set, and I think people should just leave this whole quote unquote scandal alone. I just hope that the second season of Tulsa King is as good as the first, because I really enjoyed the first one. It wasn't perfect, but just seeing him in this role is just fun. It's just fun
Yeah.
seeing Stallone having that kind of fun. And if they can continue that vibe for the second season, I'm totally up for it.
I totally am with you on that. When does that next season come out?
I mean, they're filming it now. I don't know when they plan to release it, but
Okay.
if they're filming it now, I assume that within half a year or a year, maybe we'll see it. And I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah,
So
and Ron, I also loved him in Demolition Man. That dude's a legend, bro. I don't think there's ever
Demolition
been a
Man is an underrated movie. I mean, that's a movie
yeah.
that really, when you watched it, it was like, oh, in the future it'll be this and that, and people will be offended about everything, and too PC and whatever. And then you watch it today, and it's like a prophecy. It's a movie that its value actually went up. If you see Demolition Man now, it actually is very smart.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna have to watch Demolition Man again because I want to see just how prophetic this movie has gotten. It's been years since I've seen it, but I mean, it's there are things I remember from the movie, and they do reflect today. I mean, my goodness gracious, do people get pent up and upset over everything?
Right, and the thing is that every time he speaks like out of turn, he gets either a fine because he said something that's not nice, and they're all offended all the time. I
Mhm.
should really rewatch that movie because I totally think that it was more clever than it seemed. I think that at the time it kind of seemed like this kind of lighthearted action sci-fi thing, but when you think about it now, I think there's more to it to that movie, and I really like the ideas there. Uh,
Dude, Jay is so funny, dude. He said like the three great prophecies: Idiocracy, Demolition Man, and Wally. Dude, Wally is prophetic too. Oh my, it really is.
I have to watch Wally again. It's that one with that robot, right?
Yeah, the little robot who loves the girl robot, and then all the humans on the ship have gotten fat over like centuries. Great movie.
I should watch it again. I completely forgot about that movie. But another story that we have, and this is interesting, it's Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis faces uphill battle for mega deal. Just no way to position this movie. So I don't know if you know about this. Francis Ford Coppola, he's directed some great movies like The Godfather and Apocalypse Now and The Godfather 2 and others. Those are the ones that are the top for me, but there have been other ones that he's
Yeah.
directed. In any case, the bottom line is that he wanted to make some big movie for the end of his career, and the movie didn't get funding from a studio. He ended up funding it himself. Apparently, he sold like a vineyard of wine or something like that, a winery for
Dang.
$500 million. So he took about 120 million of those dollars and invested in his own movie, in this one. And he doesn't care. He wanted to make his movie and release it. But I think that he was hoping that some big company will come and distribute it in some way, shape, or form. And apparently, he did a screening to try to get people to bite, to get a distributor, and to get a studio to back it financially in terms of marketing and promotion. And apparently, nobody wants anything to do with it. Now, I don't know what that means
Oh.
because a lot of these studios are dumb, so I don't really know. But I tend to think that if they thought it was viable, if it was financially viable, they were going to make money on it, maybe they would have taken it. Uh, because if you want to market a movie like this, I think he expected somebody to commit to about $100 million in marketing, and they just figured we're not going to make this money back. I don't
Wow.
know if rightfully so or not. You know, I don't know if in your 80s you can make the best movie you ever made. I don't know if that's the time for it. I don't know if this is a good movie or not. I'm interested in seeing it, but I think that it's going to be, according to this article, tough for him to find a distributor and a studio that'll pay for the marketing and all that material.
Well, that just kind of seems like they're trying to push out the old dogs. It's just a continuation of that hypothesis, that all these young people in Hollywood who are ideology driven are in charge of a lot of these financial things where where these people want to make movies who are legends of their time, and then they're constantly meeting friction and obstacles and people being completely unwilling to make their movies. What if Francis Ford Coppola's movie is great? I don't know what Megalopolis is about, but no one's going to pick that up even after he dumped $100 million into it. That's crazy.
It seems weird, but I think that at the end, some kind of streaming service may make a deal for it. But what's interesting is, I feel like if this would have been a few years ago, one of those, Netflix or Apple, may have actually jumped on it and said, "Here, we'll put it on our streamer. Here's a check, maybe covered as expense, just so they can say that they're in business with him, like they did with The Irishman and Martin Scorsese." It's not a movie that I don't know that they made a lot of money with it, but they wanted to say that they have that kind of talent that they work with. And Apple have done stuff like that too. But I feel like gradually a lot of these streamers that have lost so much money, they're more cautious now about what they're willing to pay for. And I guess this thing doesn't seem like a sure thing for them. And even the prestige of saying that he's working with them, I guess it's just not worth it for them. But
yeah, perhaps it isn't fair then for me to just like assume that it's just them trying to push a guy out. Some people suggested that it's too expensive, and like you said, maybe it's just not something they see as profitable, even if it's good.
Maybe if it was a movie that he made for like 25 or $50 million, they would have somehow let him get away with it. But I think that if he invested $120 million in it, and he's expecting somebody to commit to another 100 million in marketing and whatever, that means that this movie has to make like 500 million dollars at the box office.
I don't know if that would happen.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think that it was a passion project. He still has a lot of money. He's going to be fine. He's going out the way he wanted to. I'll watch this movie at some point. Wherever it's available, I'm going to watch it because I'm curious as to what he's done. But I don't know.
Bishop Judas has a good idea. As Cartman said, put a woman in every movie and make it lame and gay. I mean, that might be the way to go.
I don't think that that's what happens in this movie, but I don't exactly know. The funniest thing will be if at the end this movie is amazing and these guys are just jerks, but I just don't know.
We're gonna have to watch it because that would be really interesting. She's like, man, this is a masterpiece, and like nobody touched it.
But what I will say, that I kind of understand, Tarantino keeps saying that he only wants to make one more movie and then stop, because most directors, as they grow older, their filmography starts stinking, and you look at the final movies they made in their career and they're so subpar compared to their earlier work, and he doesn't want to be one of those directors, which I kind of respect. I don't know if he'll really honor that, but I kind of respect that approach. I feel like Francis Ford Coppola does not have that approach, and he's just like, I got to make this movie, and he just made it. And I'm sure his family were like, dude, you're wasting 120 million of your own money. Usually in Hollywood, there's that kind of rule. You never spend your own money. And he's Francis Ford Coppola, but I assume that if he spent it, that means he couldn't get people on board to begin with, and he can't get them on board now. But I'm still rooting for him, and I'll watch this movie, and I hope it's not crap.
Yeah. I think I'm on board with you on that one. Hey, so don't worry, guys. Like, you don't have, if you like to caps lock, you can, but don't worry. I'm reading you guys' chats. I'm laughing internally, and I'm waiting for chances to put your comments out there because these guys are just hilarious in the chat, dude.
Somebody wrote Price's favorite word, girl boss. I don't say it. I don't say it every second. I think that I say it when there's a movie and there's a bunch of them in it that I start getting annoyed, and you'll hear me say it. It's not that I'm desperate to say that term all the time. And I don't know that this Megalopolis has it. I think that this is a different type of movie. I heard that I think that Shia LaBeouf is in it, which is weird because he was canceled. That also is another thing. I think he was canceled, but then Francis Ford Coppola casted him in his movie, and apparently, even this Hollywood Reporter admits that his performance is actually a highlight in the movie, which is weird because I've never really rated him, but apparently they say that he's good in this movie.
Yeah. Shia LaBeouf in a Francis Ford Coppola movie. I never really thought I'd see that on a bingo card, but here we are.
Yeah, that's really weird, but he's gonna premiere it at the Cannes Film Festival. Maybe he'll get some awards. Maybe somebody will distribute it. But I think that with so much money that he's invested in it, he just made it difficult for people. But to our next story, we have Keanu Reeves joins Sonic 3 as Shadow. And I don't know.
Cool.
I assume that it's okay. I don't dislike Keanu Reeves. It's like I assume it's going to be fine.
It'll probably sound like him, so Shadow will like be talking all weird. It'll be like, Sonic, come on, we have to go and get the Chaos Emerald.
He's gonna sound like Ted from Bill and Ted.
Yeah. I know that's what I'm channeling. That's the Reeves I'm channeling today.
Right. For me, he always kind of sounds like Ted, Keanu Reeves, in some way, shape, or form. Maybe more mature Ted, maybe more sophisticated Ted, but there was always a bit of Ted in most of Keanu Reeves' performances.
You know, it's so funny whenever they cast actors that don't seem to fit the role that they're cast for. Like when you have like Chris Pratt and then Keanu Reeves playing Shadow, some more often than not, they end up stealing the show in some way. So I'm actually kind of down with this, and it's not like the director and writer of Sonic 3 haven't been hyping the crap out of Shadow. They have absolutely been doing that, so they must be really excited about this. But I think it's so funny that they got Keanu.
It is funny, but I'm sure it'll be fine. You know, the thing with Keanu and with Chris Pratt, the one thing I'll say about both of them is that they have kind of a likable charm, and that even shines through even when they do voice work. Maybe sometimes they'll give them stuff that's not the right fit for them, but if they can bring that kind of personal charm, sometimes that goes a long way.
True. Very true.
So, yeah, that'll be interesting to see how it is. I don't think anybody's upset about this. I think this will be fine. Next, we have this situation that in order to keep viewers, Disney plans a new streaming concept, old-style TV channels. And I think basically this something, I don't know why they want money to see this article. I found this other one, so let's share this one instead. Disney to overhaul its money-losing Disney Plus streaming service with new TV channels. Now, what they're going for is that it'll be, let's say, a Star Wars channel. And then if you click on it, there will always be either a Star Wars show or movie. There will be Marvel. There will be Star Wars. They're just going to have, in addition to what you see now, you're going to have quote-unquote live channels, which live channel is basically them just as a DJ putting on whatever and hoping also that if they're going to put stuff for you that they choose, that maybe you won't leave. You'll just put the channel on and you'll stay. And for me, this is kind of an act of desperation, I think.
Well, what are the chances they'll raise the price once they do this?
Well, they like raising the price here and there anyways, so that you know, regardless of if they do the channel, I'm pretty sure that they're going to raise the price. But in general, I don't know how much this matters. I mean, all the stuff that they did for Star Wars is crap, so I don't need to sit around and watch it in a loop for 24 hours. I already know it's crap.
No, plus there are probably way better ways to watch a bunch of channels anyway. I mean, just these guys are they're trying to pretend that like Disney Plus is going to be the future, and they're just trying to take a step back to take 2 steps forward. But honestly, you know, the way that Disney is going and Disney Plus and how little there is that is appealing to the wider range of audiences, this is probably just going to go nowhere, and they'll continue to spiral.
Now, this is the part that I'm kind of confused about. They're going to have channels that actually support that they're going to have commercials in, kind of like what Tubi does. A lot of these streamers, and I was just talking about it with people earlier, I think it was Script Doctor that mentioned this, but I agree. A lot of these streamers now are thinking to themselves, if we could do something where people watch shows and see advertisement, maybe we could make money here. And it's funny because after the whole idea of streaming was you don't have to have the cable box, you don't have to watch commercials anymore, you just watch this. But now all of them are reverting back to the commercial thing because that's where the money is at.
Yeah. Wow. It sounds like desperation to me. I mean, it sounds
It
like they're just
does. I
doing
mean,
anything they possibly can to stay afloat.
they probably figure they'll shove some advertisements, they'll make some money. I mean, it's a revenue stream, I guess, but I don't think that it's going to make a big difference. Can it make a difference with their overall numbers in the streaming service? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's a strategy, but I just think that their content is annoying. So I don't know how well this strategy will work. But let's see what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, let's see, because people are poisoned against, not poisoned against, but it's just that, like, the very word Bob Iger is poison when anything is announced or any news that comes out. I think
Right.
myself and many people are tired of seeing Bob Iger's face, because the more that he
Definitely.
is in charge, the further down Disney goes.
For sure. And just everything about them now seems desperate. So many reshoots, they're scrambling all the time with their
Yeah.
movies. I don't even know what's happening with all these projects of theirs. Everything seems to be in the air.
Well, I
The
heard that that new Captain America is supposed to reset the Marvel universe, kind of like the DC movie, or like the Flash, I guess, tried to reset that one. So that's the rumor I've been hearing about this new movie. It seems that a lot of these departments in Disney are trying to pivot in some way. I think it's too late, but it really is entertaining to watch. I will say.
Yeah, I mean, it's entertaining for us to watch all the politics, but it's really it's dumb in the sense that yeah, it's too little too late. And that Captain America with Falcon movie, whatever that is, they have already filmed that movie like twice or three times. This
Yeah.
this reminds me of what happened with the Marvels, that they kept shooting it over and over again. At some point, the movie's not working, it's not working. I don't think you can continue to shoot it over and over again and expect it to suddenly be good, especially not when you're working under that kind of pressure. And I just wonder what they're going to end up doing with that movie. Until now, nobody has ever said a good word about it, and all we get is reshoots and redos and recasts. And also, I was talking about this earlier, that Daredevil show on the one on Disney Plus. That one also, they did the complete overhaul. They filmed it, and now they're filming it again, and they actually
Yes.
brought back the cast from the Netflix show. But I don't know if any of this is going to help them. And also, it's never good when you start a production and after 9 episodes you say, and $180 million that you've spent on it, you say, you know what, I'm not going to use these 9 episodes, screw the $180 million, give me another $180 million, I'll film it again. That is not a good sign. It is
Yep.
not a good sign. And when you're in that mindset, when you're scrambling, when you're stressed and you're quickly trying to get a project off the ground and filmed and all that stuff, this is never a good situation. Instead of for a few years developing, writing, setting up, pre-production, all this stuff, you're already in the middle. You filmed a movie, now you're filming it again. You filmed a series, you're filming it again. Not a good sign for me. Maybe on rare
Yeah.
occasions, a project can still end up being okay in spite of all these problems. But usually, as a rule of thumb, these are very bad developments.
Yeah, it makes me miss the original Daredevil series, which was just like a masterclass in realistic superhero filmmaking. So, and the fact that they have gone so late into the show only to turn back, that not only puts stress on the people making it, but all of those actors, all those people you brought in for those roles they're just going to phone in their lines. They're not going to put in the work because their hearts aren't in it like when they started. They have to do everything all over again, and there's an awareness there, and that brings morale down, which means we're going to get even worse performances in the next go around when the show actually drops and we see the reshoot version of what the show was supposed to be, which I imagine was going to be very, very woke, from the things I was hearing about it, reading about it. So I don't even know if I care. They said that, or there was some suggestions. I think it was in an interview where they said that Daredevil would be in this series the same as he was, or at least similar in vein to his appearance in the She-Hulk series, which turned me completely off to that idea. But I just, if they're trying to change and they're changing like that, like spending 200 mil, and they're like, nah, let's do it over. That's incompetent, and it doesn't really inspire faith in the show for sure.
I forgot to say goodbye to Ron Donofrio. He's a friend of mine, but I only saw his name now. I was just juggling with these articles, so I missed some different chats. Somebody also said I should talk to Raquel, but I don't really have the context for that or know what that means. But it sounded good, especially if she reminds me of Raquel Welch in her prime.
Well, I did my
Raquel.
best. I think I said goodbye to Ron for you, so
Oh,
I got
okay,
you.
okay. Well, that's good. At least somebody did the right thing. Uh, so Daredevil, what happened is that initially they were gonna not bring Karen Page, not bring Foggy. Uh, in addition, another thing they did was Vanessa Fisk, who played Wilson Fisk's love interest and wife in the Netflix show. I actually thought that they had good casting there and they had really good chemistry, but
Yeah,
somehow for this show they decided to fire her, and they fired her because they wanted to cast, and there's no other way to say it, a more diverse actress. So they brought a lady who was kind of Asian or something. Although it's just so weird because why would you do that? People saw the show, like the characters. Nobody asked for this. You know what I mean? Like it's not even one of those ones that they said, well, in the comic book it's like this, but we want to swap it out for something else. This was a situation where people already knew a character. There was an actress there. They initially rehired Vincent D'Onofrio, but then they wouldn't rehire her. And they also had this actress called Nikki James, which she plays the district attorney. And I think, I mean, she was also I don't really care, but it's just kind of strange because these two diverse cast members were basically fired, and then they brought back the original actress after they snubbed her. They brought back the original actress for Vanessa Fisk.
yeah,
They
yeah.
rehired her, and then in addition to that, they also removed that other character, and they brought back Foggy and Karen Page. Everything that they didn't want to do, they somehow reversed course after spending $180 million and filming 9 crappy episodes. They started from scratch and brought everybody back.
Sounds like they would have like saved money if they had just pushed out the disaster show they had in the works. I mean, I can't even imagine how much money they spent after restarting.
I mean, for them, the thing is, this is a big deal because Daredevil is such a beloved show, the original one on Netflix,
Yeah,
that they really wanted to do something that'll get people excited. I give credit at least that they saw it and they thought it was so bad that they need to start from the beginning. The problem is that at this point, Kevin Feige's company and Disney in general are infected by so many of these kind of activists that I don't know. I don't know that they could produce a different result the second time around. Is it going to be good that the original actors are there? Sure, it's better than them not being there. But I've seen enough stuff that Disney does that even though they have all the cards, all the things lined up, it's all great, and they still mess it up with all of their stupid propaganda. So one has to
true.
wonder what kind of Daredevil show we're going to get. But unless I see it and it's great, I'm very skeptical at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. I just yeah, smart for them to try and revive the old Daredevil, because that Daredevil series was top notch. Like no nonsense, no fillers from A to B. That series was solid. And I I don't see any current day Marvel filmmakers bringing us that kind of entertainment again. And I I would actually assume that this show would be a lot more like the show Ironheart coming out. I heard that there was going to be like originally I heard it was going to be in like a weekly bad guy kind of situation, or like a weekly case for Daredevil. That it wasn't going to be in the traditional Daredevil storytelling method. That they were just going to be doing like a weekly case by case thing. until it was over, with like kind of like an interconnected overarching plot. And it was going to be like a lot of episodes, and that was I think that's what shocked me the most about its like restarting, because of how many episodes they had filmed. I had heard that they filmed a lot, and a lot of this is from memory. I don't have, it's not 100%, but it just wasn't good. And so, I mean, my goodness, if you're restarting from the beginning, and let's say that their script was so bad that they had to restart, how in the world do they think that whatever they're going to put out now is going to be better than when they had actually taken their time and crafted a story that they apparently hated so much they had to scrap? What, like, why would anybody think that this is going to be better than what they had originally thought up, when it seems like this time around they're rushing it? So whatever story they have cooked up, it's probably going to be of less quality than the one that they had scrapped.
Right. I mean, they're probably at least counting on one thing. By saying that they're bringing back all the original actors, maybe a few people will still give this a chance, but I don't trust them based on how they do things that they're really going to deliver a great result. And considering what season 1, 2, and 3 was of Daredevil, I have a bad feeling about it. But again, I always give everything a fair chance. I'm definitely going to try to watch it, but they're not giving me a lot of confidence, even though it's interesting that they rehired the right people in terms of actors, but I don't know. We'll have to see about it.
Yeah.
And, now that we've covered a lot of...
Oh. Uh-oh. I think Price accidentally hopped out. It's okay. We'll wait for him to come back. Don't worry. He's still alive. Unless he's not. I think he is, though.
Are you there?
Yeah, man. I'm just keeping your seat warm while you were gone.
Oh, okay. Sorry for that technical difficulty there. That was all my fault. But yeah, so basically, where was I?
No, you're like, well, it looks like we're done talking about movies.
Right. I said there was so much stuff going on in Warhammer today, and I think that's a good point where you can maybe tell us about some stuff that's going on.
Well, the entire Warhammer fan base is furious, and I mean just like emanating furious flames from their mouths in anger at the situation where it seems that it appears that Warhammer or at Games Workshop has fundamentally retconned original lore for some very prominent figures in the in Warhammer 40k, and basically changed how they're developed. Basically saying that even though it's an all-man like elite, they're like an elite knighthead who protect like they're like right below the Primarchs in the story. So Warhammer 40k, huge universe full of extensive lore that goes back all the way to the 80s. Like people have been collecting these pieces for decades. Like these are games, books, tabletop RPGs. Just I actually haven't played the tabletop, so that one's a little bit alien to me. But from what I've been reading in the books, I've been reading Gaunt's Ghosts, trying to get into Space Marines. I should be reading the Horus Heresy because people have been correcting me on that. But basically, Warhammer is just got a lot of lore and a lot of history, and it means a lot to tabletop gamers, and book readers who have really tried to help carry its lore. It's a very well established lore over the years. And what's happened now is these people who don't really care about Warhammer are in these positions where they can just change the story however they want, or they think they can without consequence. And so they went into the lore and said, well, hey, this elite unit of soldiers who have always been men since like the first 10,000, there have always been women there. And we're just deciding that on the fly, and there's nothing people can do about it. So what happened was someone tried to question this, and that person ended up getting they got a response saying that there have always been women. They're like, why did you put female? They're called Adeptus Custodes. They're like bodyguards. And they're like, why did you put females in this codex? Because they retconned it in the codex. And they're like, well, there have always been women. And that just set a whole bunch of people off. And now we have a situation that has exploded past what it should have gone, because what happened was people started saying that they're going to cancel because they see the red flags right away and see that there's DEI being heavily pushed through these retcons and from BlackRock down. Because, you know, I had revealed in one of my videos from just my own research that BlackRock is heavily, and Vanguard are both heavily invested in Games Workshop. And so they have like a good percentage, like a huge chunk, like over like millions of shares, which are, by the way, not cheap. And of course, if you know BlackRock and what their messaging is, if you go on their their very front page, it says that they're pushing DEI hard. They nothing else matters. The CEO of BlackRock, Larry Fink, having meltdowns at business meetings because he wants nothing more than for these behaviors, quote unquote, to be forced into entertainment and all of the things they're invested in. They want DEI pushed in them. So players are reacting. They're saying they're going to cancel. They're canceling their Warhammer Plus accounts or whatever. They're not going to buy any more product. People are like sending receipts, photos of them swearing off Warhammer, canceling, not buying. And these people have like also showed receipts spending thousands of dollars on the figurines that you build and paint to use for your warfare in Warhammer. You know how that goes. And so they care very deeply about this, and they're trying to push back and tell Warhammer what's going on and how they feel. So what does Warhammer do in response?
Attacks the fans.
They start mass blocking these people on social media. No conversations, no talking. These people are posting their receipts, all their proof and their dedicated history to this IP. And the Warhammer account just goes on a mass blocking spree. And you even have people who used to work for Games Workshop talking against the fans, coming out against the fans and in defense of, oh, well, they were always there and we can just change the lore. And I don't think it's so much that the lore is being changed suddenly. I think it's just the fact that they're trying to just haphazardly throw that in without actually trying to build it up lore-wise. You know, try to have it make sense. That they feel like they're just doing it for diversity's sake rather than for the story's sake. And that's why people are questioning it. But Warhammer isn't having any of it. So now you've got a conflict between Warhammer and its fans. And even in my videos, the video I reported on, countless people saying, I'm done. Because they're sick of it. So that's what's going on in the Warhammer world.
I think we're going to see more and more of that. And, I think we talk about this sometimes, that I think that in entertainment, in the kind of movies and TV shows, for a long time, they were able to fool people more easily. But I think that the type of people that buy games and the amount of money that games cost, I don't think that they're the type of crowd that they pick up on these things very quickly and they don't like it. I think that it's more of an uphill battle if they think they're just going to do all of this and there's not going to be a fight.
They definitely kicked the hornet's nest on this one. Many of these posts from old fans are going viral everywhere. Warhammer's just trying to like write it off as something that didn't even happen. You know, they're trying to continuously post. They're trying to bury that post in other posts. But I think that the people have spoken. Now everyone's aware that BlackRock is funding this stuff. And it really is unfortunate because Warhammer, I mean, it's one of the biggest IPs ever. It's been around for the longest time, since before I was even born. I mean, this stuff goes way back, and that's the sense of entitlement that these new people who have no idea how to carry an established lore in such a careful way, they are in charge and they're making dumb decisions. And many people, by the way, have debunked this theory, by the way, with many forms of evidence and proof. You could just go on the wiki. I did that in my video. Went to the wiki and proved that the Adeptus Custodes have always been men. And yet they're trying to suggest like, well, this lady was standing in the corner in one of these stories just watching everybody. So that kind of proves it. It's the most insane.
Are they like retconning women into their thing?
They're basically because the Emperor in the story is a very calculated individual who's lived for like tens of thousands of years and stuff. And a lot of this requires a lot of articulate planning. And so they have certain systems in place, things that have made sense of the story. And I'm not going to pretend that I know what I'm talking about, because look, I watch Luton on YouTube, who breaks it down. And even though he breaks it down in such awesome ways, I still get confused. Okay, that's how like crazy the lore of Warhammer 40k is. Oh, and by the way, that guy just released a video today saying, what the heck are people talking about? They've been here the whole time, made a whole video disagreeing with it and bringing receipts too. And so fans are just pushing back on this right away. Like they see it coming from a mile away, and they're making a decision now. A bunch of fake fans on social media are like, can't wait to get these bigots out. And then they're saying, well, they've always been there. And it's so funny because you can easily debunk this. So all these fake fans coming out of the woodwork to defend Warhammer mass blocking everybody, they're like, well, we know the story. Every time you bring receipts, these people disappear. But yeah, I know I'm going on like a little tangent, but
no, it's good. You are, I believe you are one of the most knowledgeable people right now about all these matters with Gamergate 2. You know so much information, and I think that anybody that's listening here is really getting something unique here. So never feel bad about that. What I wanted to tell you is that it kind of reminds me, this is a strategy that we've also seen with the likes of Kathleen Kennedy. First, she wanted to mess up the future. So the sequel trilogy, she made it very female-centric, and the men are stupid and all that other stuff. Kind of like an anti-male propaganda piece or whatever it was. And then what happened is that even when things weren't going well, at some point she decided that she's going to release books. And the books are taking place 200 years before before episode 1, the Lucas one. So basically, why does she do 200 years before 100 years before? Because she wants to reestablish the lore, meaning that you'll watch it and they'll tell you, well, you thought it was Yoda was the thing, you thought it was Luke, you thought it was Obi-Wan. No, look at all these LG women. They started it all. And again, I know I always sound like a douche, and I hate that I sound like that, because I don't care what people put in their movies. Just like I told you with that participant company, it's their money, it's their movies. They want to make those movies, make it. Maybe there's an audience, and if people want to go watch those movies, more power to them. But for me, trying to implement those kind of strategies on a mainstream media, like a mainstream IP like Star Wars, and completely changing the lore because you want to have this kind of progressive, quote unquote, agenda peddling, I think it's annoying.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, you think the Spider-Man PS5 fan base is big, okay, or the Suicide Squad Justice League fan base for video games? You know how long Warhammer has been around? You really think that this little intern activist going in there trying to you think that's gonna work? That's gonna. Look, historically, we've seen these people go down. We've seen studios shut down over these DEI pushes. Blocking your customers, not a bright move. And these are the people who are carrying the lore, by the way. So I cannot see an avenue where this does not blow up in these people's faces. And the amount of, and again, the people who are speaking out against Warhammer, the amount of money that they have spent on figurines over decades, including Grums, because Grums himself, who is, a part of this whole Gamergate situation right now, and I use that word in a mocking way against the people who keep calling it Gamergate.
Yeah, it's a stupid thing. I don't know why they like calling it that. It's annoying, but yeah.
But yeah, Grums, apparently he's been collecting. He was showing off his stuff to people on social media, collecting for years, decades, and it's like all these people are being attacked. It's like, what does that matter if you've been collecting for decades? That doesn't mean that they can't put women in here automatically for no reason at all. Yes, that's kind of exactly what it means, because the lore is everything. Why do you think that people play this game? It's because the lore is so sick and twisted and awesome that the people just can't help but get into it and want to play it. So if you're going to change that and take one of the most important aspects of one of the most elite teams or the elite forces in that story and change them to push an agenda, bro. Oh man, disaster incoming.
Again, another example for this from the entertainment side is what happened with Doctor Who. They decided not only that the Doctor needed to be a woman, but then they also decided that they needed to retcon the origins of the Doctor, that now you thought it was some older white man, but that was the first Doctor. But no, now the first Doctor is a diverse woman who people culturally appropriated her talents or something. So I don't know how to explain it. Do you watch Doctor Who?
No, I follow people who talk about it a lot. I haven't watched the most recent. I stopped watching after season 8, or I think the Matt Smith era. So I didn't get to watch the guy who plays Doctor Who after that, or the lady. I saw what they did to David Tennant later on, which also plays into the thing you said earlier, where they're going back in time, or they're trying to like take things that have already been established and they're retconning them. I mean, they went into the David Tennant thing for that Disney Plus special or whatever that Doctor Who, having David Tennant there for 2 episodes was, but they injected, oh my goodness, they injected like every woke thing you could possibly think of. Even the ladies brag to him at the end of an episode that they know more than he does, and it's a shame that he's not a woman anymore, or he would too.
And he's a male presenting doctor. And then in that same episode, also some alien, the girl who's a transformer, she lectures the doctor about pronouns.
Oh yes, because he asks an alien, like, what are you or whatever, and she's like, hey, you gotta be respectful of the pronouns. He's like, oh yeah, good points, and then corrects himself.
It was so cringe. It was so cringe what they did. They so embarrassing. Really, just that was one chance that they had to actually bring back a few fans, and they spit in everybody's faces. That was just so awful.
Yeah, and I think that I think it's on the decline now because people are not showing interest in the Jamaican doctor.
Now Disney are desperate. They first of all, and somebody tried to give me some some shit about this week. What happened is that I'm trying to see where this was. Somebody tried to throw me under the bus here. So somebody wrote, wait, but these reliable sources told me Millie Gibson had been sacked. So they had this one guy, Tzvi, they had Golden Age Geek, they had Nerdrotic, and they had me. And first of all, I am very humbled that amongst, when they think of people that are annoying, that they've lumped me in with Nerdrotic. I think that's...
I know. You're one of the greats now.
Right. I actually, I almost wanted to tell the guy that posted it, thank you for... I love I love that you really elevated my status with this. But I didn't say anything. I just, I did this answer, which I wrote, and I stand by my original reporting of Millie being let go. What we're seeing now is damage control. The bottom line remains the same, that this new Disney Who series is still likely to fail miserably. Cheers. Now, the reason all of this happened was because I guess Disney released a photo. I'm trying to find it now, but I can't find it. That you see the new doctor. You see that the Millie Gibson, the blonde girl who was replaced, and the actress who's an Indian background, I don't know what. And you see them all in the frame, and they seem to be kind of frolicking. Now, in my opinion, they just did this because they knew everybody was giving them shit about firing the blonde one. So they're trying to show, look, everybody's friends. It's totally cool. Don't worry about it. But I think that maybe she's obligated, that Millie Gibson, to do this kind of press. Usually this stuff is in the contract. She does appear in a few episodes of the season or whatever it is. So she's doing the press. But the fact that she did a picture with them doesn't mean to me that they didn't fire her.
Oh yeah, of course.
And it's Hollywood's so never Disney. Honest. And it's so Disney to try to rewrite the narrative and be like, see, we're all friends. See, they like hanging out together. See, no hard feelings. None of them are mentioned that on the day that it was announced that she was fired, Nishuti Gatwa was posting Instagrams that he seemingly was supporting her, meaning when you looked at those Instagrams, they looked like it was a guy that knew that she was fired.
Oh, I see. So he was kind of standing up for her, or at least it looked like
Yeah, there
that.
was something that he's like, "Oh, you'll always be my this." There was something about that post that seemed like I don't know how happy he was with this change, and I don't think some people think that they wanted her gone because they wanted somebody more diverse, and it's very, very possible, especially with Disney footing the bill for a lot of this. I
Man,
suppose that there could be other reasons, but that's really the leading reason people believe.
goodness, what a bad taste left in the mouth of fans. I think I don't think there was a bigger slap in the like people say that the female doctor era was a huge slap in the face to fans. But honestly, I think that going in there and messing up David Tennant's storyline and all of the characters with him, I think that was the worst thing they could have done to that probably killed it. I bet that's what killed it.
Also, look at this pic. Can you see it? Am I sharing this?
I'm not seeing anything yet.
Oh, I didn't share the okay. I've done everybody a disservice here. I have to share this.
Yeah, there are only 12 doctors, Kitty Bear says. And Price of Reason from Jay said he is the true Mon Calamari behind Nerdronic and other channels puppeting it all. Oh my goodness.
I disappeared again, but I'm back. So let's see what.
Oh, hey, Bishop Judah said, I'm still fascinated when Price met Ugly Headland in Manhattan years ago.
That is true. That is true. I did actually meet her. Let me see for a second. I want to share this thing. First of all, I want to share this other thing, which I wanted to show this and I didn't. In the future, if I'm gonna if I'm think I'm sharing something and I'm an idiot, you have to tell me.
You know what? Don't worry, I'll tell you. But I'll be honest, I didn't even know that you were planning on share. I thought we were just getting right into it.
So this is the thing that I wanted to show you that the guy that they were complaining about me, that they put me with Nerdrotic, and they thought that they were insulting me, but I thought this was really nice.
You made it, bro.
Right. I wanted to thank them. So,
dude.
So
they rubbed you in with wait, but these reliable sources told me Millie get that they're always trying to find a way to get a one up on these guys. It's just like, oh, something changed 5 seconds after you uploaded the video. Discredited.
No, but the thing is that nothing changed. She really was fired. The only thing the reason people were talking, let me see if I can find this picture. Millie Gibson. See, there's this picture here. Can you see it?
Yep.
They took a picture where you see Millie Gibson with Nishuti Gatwa, and I don't remember her name, this other one that recast. What I'll say is that they really made an effort to make it like seem all chummy, and she certainly did whatever. I mean, do I know if she's really happy in this picture? But the bottom line is, and this I can tell you from my own experience working possibly in this field, when an actor signs up to do something and he's getting paid X amount of money, there's things in the contract that says when this thing comes out, you're going to do press. And it's not a question. It's not like optional. It's not somebody saying, hey, do you feel like doing some press for this? She's obligated to do this. If she's in a few episodes of that season, even though they fire her after like 2 episodes or whatever it is, she's still obligated to do this thing. And if you're a professional, you come in, you smile. What are you going to do? Stand in front of all the newspapers and start doing the mopey face? She's professional. She came and she did whatever she was asked to do. But to suggest that because she has a picture that she did with a replacement and with him that she wasn't replaced is nonsense, in my opinion.
Yeah, these pictures they do nothing to help their cause. I just the facts will come out.
Not only that, the timing here. It seems like the timing here is actually they're trying to squash some kind of backlash that happened. Now, what's going to happen is initially, I think that maybe during the first season, maybe a lot of it, she will be in it, but then in the second season, she's been written out. So yeah, I mean, like I said, there's going to be a whole season with her. She doesn't have any choice here. This isn't a situation that she's an actress. She has a contract. This isn't a situation where she's necessarily happy or happy to be here or happy to do anything. She's fulfilling the obligations of her contract. And I think it's really important. But a lot of these people, like the one that posted the me and Nerdrotic, I'm still very happy with that. The guy that lumped me in with Nerdrotic, I think that he's a classic just dum-dum. The kind that oh, see, what do all the reliable sources say? Yeah, I said the truth. She's been removed and she was replaced. Even in this picture, you have a replacement standing next to her. My claim was one, that she was removed, B, she was replaced with a more diverse actress, C, the fact that Disney was footing the bill may have had something to do with it. I still stand behind everything that I'm saying, and this picture doesn't disprove my theory. It just means that they were nervous because people were getting annoyed, so they wheeled out this original actress who's obligated to do these pictures, and they took pictures of her.
Yeah, to be honest, on those two photos, it looks like she's just kind of photo bombing. Somebody in Rumble chat said that, dude, that's some badly photoshopped stuff. So I was like, maybe it is. Maybe she's just kind of she could be added in there. Who knows?
She could be. You know what? It wouldn't surprise me. That would be so funny if it was. But whatever it is.
Like it was just like this producer in a hat guy, like that they were taking pictures with, but they're just like, no, we got to save face.
and I feel like they really tried to make the other one, the replacement, like, they really tried to make her look as good as they can. Because I think Millie looks pretty good, and I feel like they were. I understand what they were trying to do here.
Why
they were
did they
really
let her go? My goodness.
They're just annoying. They're just
charisma.
They're just annoying people. Let me see. What was the other thing? So I love this.
We got to see some of these. These are funny.
What, these?
Yeah, these thumbs are just.
So one, it's Svi, and I see that people were upset. I don't know what he did, that he put her in these kind of like naughty clothes. I don't know. There was this Golden Age Geek. There was
Golden
Nerdrotic.
Age Geek.
And okay. I love the thumbnail for Nerdrotic. I have to say,
that's so funny. That's not the first time I've seen it. They did that again for the Civil. If we see his Civil War thumb, it looks a lot like this. It's very funny.
And this was mine. I thought this was good. This was a good thumbnail. It
great.
Was good. It did the job. It explains she's fired.
Obviously, they thought they got you in a gotcha because you have the fired thing right there.
Right, like, and again. They haven't disproven my theory. All they've proven is that there was some kind of, picture that was taken, which she's contractually obligated to do. But then there was something else that I wanted to show you that my friend John the White showed this to me. For some reason, he believes that Disney and the BBC are so over this thing that it's not interesting people, and like it seems like a flop right out the gate. Which doesn't surprise me because they lost the fans and they're not going to get new fans, in my opinion. So he was showing me that they did. Let me try to find this. That they did AI. That rather than doing like a photo shoot and taking pictures, they actually did something that looked like AI.
Oh no!
So this is the thing. Let's see if I can share this. This is really fascinating. I mean, that they would use AI instead of taking real pictures is just so strange. Why and Disney would somehow be involved in it. I would think that at minimum they'd at least roll out a cameraman or something like that. But
yeah, it's quite the rabbit hole.
This is the thing that they did. And John the White, who's a friend of the channel, wrote, BBC put out this promo image. BBC announced it was going to use AI for Doctor Who promotion, then 180 and said they wouldn't when people complained. Is this AI? Looks like it to me. BBC lying again. And then let me see if I can show this. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
So this does it looks kind of AI-ish. I mean, he seems like he's a bit off if you look at him.
He does. Like his face, he looks... I don't know how to explain. It looks like one of those grocery store training computer programs.
Something about his face seems a bit weird. Like they did some kind of AI work on it. And notice how they have in the background, and this is again like that same guy that was whining. If she's so important, Why on this poster have they hidden her inside the TARDIS in the background?
You can barely see her unless you pull up the post and look at it. Plus, his
Right.
pose is just so weird looking.
It seems like she's been photoshopped, AI'd something also. Very weird that initially it was supposed to be like a 1-2 punch of them both together, and now she's hiding in some TARDIS in the background. Very strange. Doesn't give me the confidence. Doesn't give me the confidence that I'm wrong and they're right. I feel like I'm right and they're wrong.
I just look at this art. I just feel like any of us could could do this so much better. I mean, any of us could probably put a much better promo picture up. Somebody was saying in the Rumble chat, he said 100%, man, if you got the raw file, opened it in Photoshop and scrolled into the pixels, you can see it's BS. He said he could do a better job on his mediocre PC for those photos. But you know, if that's what they're doing, well, then they definitely lied if they said they're not using AI. What is that, dude?
Well, this is him. I don't know. I don't even know what we're looking at, but there's like a quote. I don't know if you can see the quote. This is a quote from the actor playing Doctor Who. That's what I'm going to put into the universe. I need the Doctor to have a big, fierce dance routine that, like, destroys a monster with twerking, or maybe some death drops, and that's what will drop the monster. And then, like, you have him looking rather flamboyant in this picture.
So awful.
I don't know what's wrong with these people. Why can't this is not what this show is about? And then finally, I was saying today that there was like an act of desperation. They did this thing, and it shows how out of touch some of these things are. Let's see if I can find it. I'm still sharing, right?
Yes, yeah.
So they wrote Entertainment Weekly. Doctor Who fans rejoice. Russell T Davies is back. And it's like, we already know he's back. We saw those shitty specials with David Tennant. We already know he's back. We know that he's gone complete activist, and he's not making anything good. And this headline isn't going to attract any fans. Everybody knows that this guy came back with a complete woke agenda, and this doesn't help anybody.
Yeah, plus this dude constantly attacks fans that question his choices on this. He's a very mean-spirited individual. In fact, I'm pretty sure that he enjoys doing what he's doing, the way that he talks about how he's changing Doctor Who, and he just kind of spits in fans' faces whenever they talk about it. I mean, that dude is 100% on board and knows exactly what he's doing. And now everyone knows, like, all people can think about when they think of new Doctor Who is Russell T Davies, because of how much he's botched the lore. And I don't even know how badly he's botched the lore, but just from taking a look at the things that real Doctor Who fans are saying, it's a no good. It's a no good.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I did actually a video about this that I did a little bit of an investigation where you know, the question is, one has to wonder if he was always kind of woke or he just became woke now. And it was a very interesting investigation that shows that he may have always really wanted to push these type of messages, but back in the day, it wasn't that back in the day when you were hired to be the showrunner of Doctor Who, you first and foremost needed to actually create something that people wanted to watch. But over time, as things became more kind of woke, he really leaned into that, and coming back into this, he went full on messaging, really full on. And like you said, over the years, he's won awards. He's become snooty. He's become kind of more pretentious and more his ego inflated. And these days, you see him arguing with fans and talking down to them. It's all really bad. And what's sad is that back in the day, he did do a good job with the franchise, but
he did David Tennant's era, did he not?
Right, he did Christopher Eccleston and
like
David
my
Tennant.
favorite.
Yeah, and I think even I'm trying to think if some of Matt Smith, or I don't know what, maybe Matt Smith, he already left, but in any case, he certainly did a lot, and he was solid. He revived the franchise. He did a decent job then, but everything he's done now is just tarnishing his own legacy. And
that's sad.
He'll never be viewed by the fans of this franchise in the same way. He's managed to go from this guy that always there was a good reputation, people had good things to say about him, and now he just seems like a bitter, older guy. And as my friend John the White says, that one of the reasons that he believes that he became so kind of extra woke is that he's struggling to stay relevant. He wants to feel hip with the young people or whatever it is. But if those are his reasons, they're really, really dumb.
Wow, that's a shame. That is a shame because, man, he brought some rich storytelling to Doctor Who.
Yeah, no, he was competent. He was competent.
man.
That's why. And the thing is that today he keeps on harping on the fact that he's like, LG and all that stuff. But for me, this is a step backwards, because to be the showrunner of Doctor Who and first of all do a great job, and then it turns out that you are who you are, whatever it is, it's irrelevant. Well, once you do a good job, that's what matters. It's the job, it's the merit, it's the real storytelling that matters. Who you are and what you do in your personal life, that's not what being a showrunner is about.
No, it's not. His cruelty towards fans, I think that will forever I think that will forever sear his legacy, just the way he's treated fans. Everybody's aware of that. Just the way that he talks to people. I think that if he had just approached the situation differently and at least tried to level with the fan base, that would be good. But I mean, not only did he attack the fans in rhetoric online and just constantly spit in their faces, he doubled down on the messaging in the David Tennant special, like as a way of attacking the fans. And there were several instances of that. It's horrible.
I want to quickly welcome Backyard TARDIS. That's a personal friend of mine. Do you know Backyard TARDIS?
I've seen him pop in. No, we've actually talked about Backyard TARDIS several times. So hello.
So Backyard TARDIS is one of the most interesting people I know online. He is a minister at his local church. And in addition to that, he lives in a town where he's the minister, but he's also the locksmith. And in addition to that, he also works with the sheriff and the fire department because sometimes they need his expertise in certain things that they do, like operations and stuff like that. So he works with them, and he has his own ranch, and he raises goats on his ranch, and he's an expert in science fiction.
Yo, he's got a lot going on, dude.
Right. I mean, that's like the craziest person, and he's super nice. He's such a nice guy. So I always have to give him props. He's always, and I'll say something else that from when I started any channels, any streaming, anything, like probably on my Price of Reason main channel, I think that when I posted my first video, I think there was one person watching, and it was him.
Yeah. Wow.
I've known him for a while. He knew me, but it was still nice of him. And you know how it is when you start posting and you don't know if anybody's going to watch it. He's the type of guy that shows up. Even he's your friend. He'll show up for the thing, which it's really a nice quality to have. So on this rare occasion, I said some good words about the guy.
He sounds like a straight up G.
He is. I really like him. And he appears on the Quantum Leap streams with me, which actually is... he was one of the reasons that I even started doing the streams, the Quantum Leap streams, the classic Quantum Leap streams. He's one of the reasons I started it, because he told me at the time, he said, you keep making all these videos about how much you hate the new Quantum Leap, but if you like the original one, why not do something where you kind of say something positive? He was kind of telling me, all your videos are so negative. Maybe you could do one thing where you're sort of positive about what you do like. You like the original show. Why don't you do it? And then when I kind of started putting it together, I just said, well, why aren't you here? Why aren't you involved? Why aren't you doing it? And he joined, and we put together a nice group of people, and we really love doing that show. So yeah, he's just such a positive influence, and wanted to take the opportunity because I probably never stop and say something good about him, so I did it now.
Oh, that's awesome. I know I've been trying to get on your stream, but then circumstances just fall from the heavens, it seems.
Nah, it's okay, man. I mean, I'm sure that at some point it's going to work itself out. First of all, you have your own kind of personal stuff to take care of during those hours. And we also have our nightly stream, so I totally understand. But I'm hopeful that one day the stars will align and you'll be a guest on that one too, because that would be cool.
Yeah,
And I
I've
think
been watching that show again, and I never realized at a younger age how well written it was. And so I think that most of today's generation will probably miss out on that stuff. I'm actually pretty surprised at how good it is. I when I was a kid, I never really thought about the depth of the storytelling and the dialogue of the characters, and just how it's just. I know it's like a little bit off topic, but I will say it's been fun getting into that show again.
it is a really, really good show. It's very well written. I hope you started from the beginning.
I did because, well, what I did was I started from the beginning, and then I went straight to the episode that I was trying to catch up on with you guys on. But it's probably best if I just watch it and just try to catch up.
I wanted to also recognize that there's Rob Stuff 100 and Tim M. Hayes here in the chat, because I didn't give them
Okay.
recognition. Jay Goodwin, Empress NM, Joshua Calkins. He's also a guy that I see here from time to time. He watches the Quantum Leap stream. Matthew Marcillo, Willem03, Bishop Judas. I hope I didn't miss people.
I think me and Tim Hayes, I think we encountered each other recently, so that was cool.
Yeah, I run into Tim Hayes from time to time, so nice to see him here also.
Yep. Jadelfecki, Denovia, Kivo, Blue Collar Kaiser on Rumble, and Rob, of course. Hello to all of you guys. I know that some of you probably aren't here anymore, but hello.
Yeah, no, but a lot of people, I think a lot of them are here. Actually, they seem to be still here. And if I didn't get a chance, I think that we got rated by 2 places today. One was Nick, 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser Toxic Tuesday. The other raid we got was from Diabolical Souls, also known as Gooch. I'm very proud to have a friend called Gooch.
I'm sure.
It's sort of like that's the type of friend you need, because
yeah.
If I say I'm gonna go call Gooch, I'm in a new bracket. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not calling Stefan. I'm calling Gooch.
Yeah. Hey, I believe it or not, I actually have a friend named Stefan.
No, not that there's anything wrong with that, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like,
but yeah, no, totally.
Like, I don't know. It's always a good look, and I have another friend called Cannoli. The fact that I can say that I'm going to go talk to Cannoli and Gooch, it puts me just in a different place. I think that I have more street cred.
Anyone who would name themselves Gooch is probably a very honest person. So, they're unashamed. So I think that that's an important quality in a friend. So I have to agree with you.
So yeah, so I'm always happy and somebody wrote, "Oh, it's not like Gooch on Matthew Marceau. It's not like Gooch on Different Stroke." I remember Gooch on Different Stroke. Yeah, you're right. Remember that. Wow, that's an old throwback. I completely forgot about it, but you're right. His bully was Gooch.
Tim Hayes said, "Did you grow up watching Scott Bakula, or is it Bakula or Bakula on Quantum Leap Price?"
Of course, yes, I did. That's how I was introduced to Scott Bakula, and that's the reason why a lot of people they have mixed feelings about Star Trek Enterprise. But for me, the fact that Scott Bakula is in it is already, it gets a ton of points for that. That is already great for me. That makes the show already very enjoyable. I know that if you're talking about canon and lore and things like that, yeah, I guess there's some criticism that you could have towards the show, but I feel like the spirit was there. I love the cast. I also like the guy that plays Trip. I like the guy.
Yeah.
I like the lady that plays T'Pol. There's just some. I just like the cast and the vibe of the show. I think always when you do sort of a prequel that's made decades after the original show, and this is supposed to be taking place prior, you're never going to really be able to match it 100% visually and with the style and everything. And there always will be room for nitpicking, because we know how things looked on the original series, and that's why this show kind of seems like it's, I don't know if to say canon breaking or not exactly according to the lore, but I still think that the show, its heart is in the right place. That's my personal opinion.
So the new Quantum Leap, is it a reboot or is it a prequel?
No, the new Quantum Leap, what they did was this. They wanted to have the best of the both worlds. They wanted to make it seem like it's a sequel series so that suckers that like the original show will watch it. And then at the same time, they also want it to be sort of a reboot in the sense that it's taking place today. It has completely different thing going on. It has this. It was like again, and I feel bad for saying this, but if you saw it, you couldn't think anything else except for like extreme DEI casting there. And not only it's like extreme DEI casting, it's the fact that the original show, the reason it worked is because it had two characters. It had Sam, who was the leaper, Al, who was the hologram. They were the main characters, the actors on the show, and you're going on adventures with them. Now, this new show, it decided that in addition to the leaper and the hologram, they would have a bunch of people in present day that are the diversity gang or whatever you want to call them, and they just shoved them in there even though there was nothing to do with them. So they have a bunch of characters that the only purpose they serve is that somebody did some check marks and put them in there, but the storytelling, there's nothing to do with them. And then because the writers were activists, and when I say activists, I don't mean that it's a metaphor that they're activists. If you check their biographies, there were real activists there, meaning if you click on them, it says, I'm an activist. And those are the people they hired there for some reason. So these guys couldn't tell a story if their life depended on it. So you have people that, what do they do? What do people that don't know how to write anything do? They go for the cheap soap opera. So you had these kind of weird soap opera things going on there that completely are not in line with what the show is. And the worst part of it all, the hologram is actually the guy's disappointed fiance. He was supposed to marry her, but then it's even worse. Okay, now I'm going to say girl boss. The plot of this show is there's a girl boss who she was in the army like the best soldier ever, and they wanted her to be the leaper. But then he was a physicist in that lab, and as she was preparing to be the best leaper ever, he, for some reason that's unexplained initially, because they did a stupid J.J. Abrams mystery box, he goes into the quantum leap accelerator, and he's the one that leaps. So basically, it's almost like he's a thief. She was supposed to be the best, but he took her spot. And like they keep reminding you this dumb point over and over again. It's like, why? What is
that?
This
Is
crap?
just so dumb. That sounds so stupid, and I've seen that done before. Oh my goodness! I just saw that, and that just happened in Fallout. Actually, they did that same thing in Fallout, where they have like this who's supposed to be the main character, and somebody else's it gets their it's somebody else's time to have their moment, but this main character like circumstantially ends up in that position, and thus gaining the permanent ire and wrath of that person forever. They did that again. Oh my! I'm so sick of seeing that crap, because what it does is it undermines them.
They have the same playbook over and over again. So she was supposed to be the best. He stepped in, and then what happens is he's leaping. Now in the original one, Sam and Al are friends. They're men. Al is with a cigar. They have their camaraderie. Here, what happened is that he leaps. And every time he leaps, he has his disappointed fiance there who's annoyed that he left him, and he left her, sorry. And so many times she brings it up, how did you leave me, and my feelings this, and my feelings that. And it's so awful. It's so awful, and it's against everything that this show is supposed to be. Then you cut to present day. You have a guy who is kind of gender neutral, is that the term I'm looking for? And he has pronouns in his bio or something, and then he's like the guy in the laboratory, and then there's this other lady. It's so awful. It is so bad. The only good thing about it is that Ernie Hudson is in it, but Ernie Hudson, you could tell on his face that he does not know what he's doing there. And the only reason he's there is because somebody's gave him a check, and he doesn't do much. He shows up for a few scenes every episode. he collects his check, and I assume that by the evening he's probably sitting at a bar with his friends, and they're all having a good laugh about it.
Tim Hayes said, he said a couple of things. He said, I tried to tell my mother the new Quantum Leap was a reboot, but he said, and she knew Scott Bakula from NCIS New Orleans. Rip Dean Stockwell, found out Dean Stockwell was a child actor in Hollywood.
He was.
Very cool.
You know, in terms of Scott Bakula and NCIS, on Enterprise, I was happy to see him because he still acted like himself. NCIS, I've watched that a few times, and I feel like it's a waste of his talent. It's not that he can't do it. I'm sure it's fine. I mean, I watched it a few times with him in it. He's fine. But for me, it's like, if you have a guy, it's like you have a guy who plays in the NBA, but you want him to play high school basketball. Sure,
Yeah.
he could do it, but I mean, it's not something that I'm extremely impressed with.
Disappointed fiance, really?
Yeah, it is. It's the disappointed fiance is the hologram, and she's always disappointed and talking about her feelings. It is days of our lives. Things happen on this show, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. And they've had episodes about like Transformer people, and not only, I mean, this season it was canceled, and there was one episode that after that episode, the ratings tanked completely, and I feel like it had something to do with it. He travels into the year 1950 or something, and there's this lady who she doesn't, her name is Dina, but she wants people to call her Dean, and then she tries to tie her breasts in a way that like it'll look like a flat chest because she wants to be gender neutral, and this is just not nonchalantly inserted into the episode. And then there's this one part where he starts talking more about pronouns and gender neutral, and that she doesn't know what gender she is. I don't know what. I saw this and I'm like, this is so stupid. In 1950, none of this would be happening. This conversation would not be happening. And this is just, that's the thing, that like he travels somewhere and all the women there were behaving as if they're in 2024. It doesn't work that way on a time travel show. You can't have like these kind of gender neutral girl bosses in 1950. That just doesn't work. It's not a matter of my feelings about the specific thing. It's just, it doesn't work time travel wise.
No, I knew they were going to do some stuff like that. Yeah, that's what we were talking about, that whole revisionist history thing. Like you mentioned, they go back and try to prelude the original events and rewrite it so that they're like, oh well, no, it was these people first. And then when it comes to the actual story, they're really just soap operaing up the entire thing. That's not what I remember watching Quantum Leap. It was not a soap opera, and it certainly did not have disappointed fiancés who are criticizing you every time you make a quantum jump.
And the other thing is, what was cool about the original show, Sam would go and he'd be flirting with the ladies. He gets to know different lady every episode. He's heroic. He's, saving the day. This time, the guy was always this miserable dum-dum that he's supposed to be a physicist, but he always seemed like some miserable dum-dum that like his fiance has to come to, his disappointed fiance has to pop in and like berate him. And he's always whiny, and he's kind of he doesn't feel heroic at all. You know what I mean? Like they completely got this whole thing wrong. And maybe it's just by design because they don't want a male to seem overly confident or anything like that. So we have to be surrounded by girl bosses. But
that sounds terrible.
What was it? I don't know. Somebody RSN 40 trans 50s and was laughing. Yeah, it was ridiculous. So okay, so basically, once the disappointed fiance is there, he can't be in a relationship. He can't kiss a woman. He can't kind of have flirting things with women and being kind of all, you know what I'm saying? That was part of the charm of the original. He shows up. He's chivalrous. He's a hero, Sam. All of this goes out the window, and they did it by design, that he has the disappointed fiance that not only is he a thief and he stole her place and left her at the thing instead of marrying her, now he's stuck there and she's annoyed and she's mad at him. And that feels like it went on for years. And then in the second season, they did something where there was like a strange time jump. It's a long story. But then she had a different boyfriend in the meantime. So he was sad because like she went with another guy, and this is worse than anything you can imagine. I mean, this is like I think that there were certain things that happened there that if the writers of Days of Our Lives saw that, they'd say, you know what, this is too much.
So he basically, for those of you just showing up to this conversation, so there's a new Quantum Leap. The guy who plays the guy who Quantum Leaps apparently stole his position. So he stole it from a strong girl boss character who was his
Yes.
fiance,
Who was his
ex-fiance.
fiance?
And now she chews him out every time he Quantum Leaps. And he is also a whiny, I think he was described as a gender neutral POC character. And it sounds like a complete disaster. It really does.
The other thing that happened is that, you know, on the original show, on occasion he'd leap into a woman, Sam. But the thing is, they didn't overuse it. They didn't make him a woman every 5 minutes. And when he was, it really made a point that he didn't really feel comfortable, and he was kind of just getting by. And you know, he was even happy once he was out of that, because it was difficult for him to do it. And
Yeah.
a lot of times when they did it, there was a specific subject matter they wanted to tackle, in the sense of he leaped into a woman, but it was a 16-year-old girl who was pregnant, who wants to keep her baby or something like that. That is a very specific thing, and I think that was an interesting idea. There were a few other ones that were interesting. I don't feel that they just did it just for the sake of doing it. If they decided that Sam was going to leap into a woman, they had something an idea there. Whereas on this show, almost every second episode he leaps into a woman, but there's nothing going on, and he never even complains. He's just wearing a dress and whatever. He loves it. He loves wearing a dress. And the people that write the show, there's nothing that they loved more than for him to wear a dress.
Yeah, make him step out of his comfort zone.
But the actor seemed very comfortable with it too, for whatever reason. So yeah, I don't know. After that thing with the 50s with a gender neutral woman, those ratings tanked. I'm not saying it's only because of that. They certainly did not win any new viewers from that. Not to mention that a year earlier they had like a Transformers episode, which was also awful. Just to give you a perspective, it was about him leaping into the father of a girl who's on a basketball team, but because she's a Transformer, they're upset that she wants to play with the women, even though she was born not a woman.
Oh my goodness.
And the thing is that there's no nuance. There's no discussion of like, okay, is this right or wrong? You know, if you wanted to address that issue, you could have people explaining both sides of it, trying to explain at least why they believe this or why they believe that. But that's not what happens. That episode plays like a PSA in ways that you couldn't even imagine. At one point, the guy with the pronouns from the lab, he opens up charts and graphs that are from the real world and starts explaining like why it's good with the thing. It's so awful. It's so nothing I tell you will explain to you how awful it is. It is beyond awful. And
yeah, people in chat are telling me that too. They're like, the more Price explains it, the worse it gets. Your imagination will fail you if you think it is how bad it is.
There's actually a lot of people that know me because of that. I was one of the only people that would review those episodes, just because I really liked the show initially. And I think that most people that even maybe like the show, they gave up on it. I know that when we started, like people like maybe Az did a review and maybe Disprue or something like that, and they stopped after one episode. They're like, this is shit. And I saw it and I thought that too, but I kind of had to still see more, and I started posting, and it turned out that I was pretty much the only person doing an honest review about this thing. And there actually started like a group of people that I got to know that were following and actually watching these videos. And I will even tell you, and I have my reasons for saying this, but the cast and crew of that show, at least some of them have seen some of my videos, and I don't believe that they were happy with what they saw. But
oh no.
But really, I said this on the stream that I did when it was canceled the other day. Maybe it was a week ago when it was canceled, or 2 weeks ago. I just did a quick stream sharing my thoughts. But in my videos, even though I thought that they were losers, the people that make this show, I invited them to my channel, and they would keep popping up on these little channels or whatever. And my channel, it's not that it's that big, but it was bigger than these other channels they were going on. And I invited them because I wanted to explain to them how they've messed up the show and how they could possibly course correct it, or try at least to course correct it. But they never came to my channel. They would
Never.
only go to places that were friendly to their cause.
Right, right. Well, yeah, because if they tried to actually explain, a lot of these people, if you actually put them in a spot where they can explain themselves, their entire narrative or reasons for such would probably fall apart in just a few seconds. So,
For sure.
I mean, how can you justify that kind of show?
You can't, and the worst part is this is really, and then I'll leave it alone. The worst part of that Quantum Leap reboot thing was that initially they let these two guys develop it, Steve Lillywhite and Brian something, I don't know what. I think it's Steve
Right.
Lillywhite. I could be confusing, but that's what the names sound like generally. And what these guys were, if I'm not mistaken, they were kind of disciples of Alex Kurtzman, who was a disciple of J.J. Abrams. So you had third generation J.J. Abrams disciples, but the ridiculous part is that as bad as J.J. Abrams was, as bad as Kurtzman was, they were somehow worse than the first two. To be worse than Kurtzman and J.J. Abrams, you really have to be really bad for that. And then what's even weirder is that I guess NBC saw the initial episodes they did and didn't like them, so they demoted them, basically effectively pushed them aside, and they brought this guy called Martin Giro and this other guy called Dean Georgeris, who I think did just an awful job. I would never hire these people for anything. I think that their punishment should be that they should never do anything entertainment related again. And yeah, that's what I think.
Wow. What was someone said something earlier that I thought, oh yes, so Backyard TARDIS said a minute ago, that's what I hated about DC Legends of Tomorrow. They go back to the 50s and find a lesbian hookup in 30 minutes. And I actually remember when Canary would do that.
Yes, the White Canary one, they did that.
Yeah. And she's just hooking up with every chick she can from every decade they visit.
Yeah, 5 seconds later, they're already
dibs. So what was that? That was a dibs. I got dibs.
You're right. It was so annoying. The thing is that I don't even know how was she always that? Didn't she initially start off?
She was just.
I think that in the original Arrow, she was straight at the beginning, but then they shifted her and they said, "Oh, she's not straight anymore."
Well, they suggested a little bit later that she was bisexual, but yeah, she was just hooking up with Oliver Queen for like a good portion of the show before she was, quote unquote, killed. It's actually pretty shocking. I remember that, but I actually used to watch Arrow and The Flash a lot. Me and my wife would watch it.
The truth is, and I'll be honest with you, the first season of Arrow, first season or two, were not bad, and the first season or two of The Flash were not bad. Considering that you're just watching something on TV, like a TV series, and it's a comic book property, and they're making a lot of episodes a year, relatively speaking, that wasn't bad. But the thing is, they both suffered from the same problem. As soon as those shows kind of were finding their footing, immediately they went 100% all in. And again, I have no other word to describe it. Full on woke. I mean, they made it suddenly that it's no longer like a hero. He's surrounded by a bunch of, women, diverse people, whatever it is, that they're kind of more important. And he's kind of, in both cases, their roles were diminished. And they did what we're used to now. I think that at the time, people just weren't as sensitive to it. It was just sort of relatively new, but they completely went that path.
Yes, yeah, they did, and I agree. By the way, Felicity was the most terrible character on the show, or at least she became the worst kid, because she started off as the cute nerdy girl, for Oliver Queen, but then once she started getting into everybody's business and becoming ultra involved, she became really irritating.
Yeah, I don't know what they wanted. I think that as sort of like a nerdy girl that for occasionally, like, he interacts with, I think that was fine, but I don't know why they decided to make, but that all goes hand in hand with their nonsense. It's the same thing that I didn't hate Iris West in the first and second seasons, but by the time that she's the commander and telling him what to do, it's just like, and there's that thing that like, we are the Flash. Like, bitch, you ain't the Flash, she's the Flash.
There's like 8 flashes by the end of that series. So many flashes. I couldn't even. Oh, like there was a Flash like every new season. There was a Flash and an evil Flash. They would add an evil Flash for every new Flash that would join the team.
An evil Flash, or even one that's like a variant of him that he became evil, and I don't know what.
Like an anti-Flash.
and then they brought his daughter, and she was also the Flash. And then there was like
his dog.
Yeah, then there was the one. They did bring a lot of evil Flashes, that's for sure.
Yeah, they did. No. The Supergirl revealing her secret to a trans girl just to make her feel better was super dumb. Yeah, I think we can all agree that the CW stuff just got really stupid. I haven't really like truly enjoyed, like, I enjoyed The Flash and like Price was saying, early on and Arrow early on, but I haven't really liked anything CW since Smallville. And Smallville I consider to be like holy ground when it comes to superhero TV shows. It's probably one of the best of its kind. It's probably one of the only of its kind that was that remained as good as it did for so many years. But like since then, I really have not cared. Like I know even like Superman and what is it, Superman and Lois, the new one?
Yeah, that one I didn't really like.
Or whatever that new one was, I honestly could not get into it. Not the same way I used to. They just don't do a good job like they used to do.
Also, I've lost my faith in them. I don't feel like watching another one that I start getting into it and then immediately they do their usual crap. But in this one, I feel like even from the beginning, people are like, no, it's really quality. But even from the beginning, there were red flags. They annoyed me.
Yeah, and no, Jay, I'm not. I don't mean Lois and Clark, because I actually really like Lois and Clark too. They totally should have finished that show, but no, there's Superman and Lois, which I guess is the new Superman.
Yeah, Superman and Lois is the one you're referring to. That I watched the first episode, and there were some parts of it that weren't terrible, but I just had this feeling that they're building up some crap, and I'm just like, I can't put my faith in them again. It's the CW, they're shit, and this is going to be shit, and I took a step back.
Yeah. Have you ever watched Smallville, by the way? I was just curious about that.
If I ever watched it, I think maybe I watched an episode of it, but by the time they rolled out that show, I was in a point in my life that I didn't watch as much TV. I know some people like it, and that's perfectly fine. I personally have never really got into that show.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I think that like since then I've just compared every CW show to that one, and yeah, I understand they did get their geography wrong. There wasn't a perfect show, but dude, I don't think I've seen a better Lex Luthor than Michael Rosenbaum, and his chemistry with Clark in that show. See, like they do that constant foreshadowing storytelling in Smallville. So the things that they say to each other, Lex and Clark build a friendship throughout the series. And they're constantly foreshadowing in the dialogue to each other, like, do you think this friendship will last forever? What kind of great things do you think that you were meant for? Like the showrunners and the writers were really good at building up Clark to become Superman and Lex to become, the ultimate villain. That was something that I thought was one of the strongest parts of that show, apart from Lois Lane, like when Erica Durance, she plays Lois Lane. I thought she was a fantastic Lois. So, but again, they just don't make shows the way that they used to anymore. The CW shows of today, nothing like Smallville.
I watched the Lewis and Clark one that had Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher in it. That one I remember watching. The one that you're talking about, I've seen a few episodes of it. I know what it is, and I've seen a few episodes, including what you said about Lex Luthor. I'm not saying that it was bad. I guess I just didn't have time to get into it more. But I can't really, I guess, give a full judgment on it.
Right. No, yeah, but more so, it's just a comparison, just because it's like, I think just TV, and especially superhero TV, has just changed so drastically. I mean, if you were to go back and watch Smallville now, you'd think that you were living on a completely different planet. It's just insane.
Right.
But and I know we've like gone completely off topic here because we're talking about Quantum Leap, but I
No, it's
think that
okay. This is the shooting the breeze portion of our thing. I think that we went over a lot of the stuff. I actually hope that I didn't take away from your Warhammer story. Uh,
you
did you
didn't. No,
did you say
it's
everything you wanted to say about it? Because I didn't want to cut you off on it.
I did. No, I actually wanted to see. I didn't know you haven't watched Fallout yet, have you?
Okay, so I watched the first episode, and I believe I watched some of the second episode. Unfortunately, I wanted to watch more of it. I unfortunately just didn't have the time to watch more. Uh,
Okay,
you
because I
know,
was gonna
from
get to you. I was gonna get to you before. Yeah, no, go on, go on.
no, I was going to ask you because you have more context regarding the game. I actually am not. I don't think I've ever played that game for some reason, even any of its versions. I don't know why. It seems like something. At the time, I was still playing video games, but I don't know why I didn't run into it. Uh, have really, there's no excuse. But since I know you know this stuff, is it sort of true to the game? Is it if as somebody that if you do like the game, if you like the game, does this show kind of satisfy what you're looking for?
So, well, I'll answer that. Rob said, "Hey, have you guys seen the preview for Fallout, dude? I'm in your brain. Yes, you are. Fallout is iffy. So here's I was actually hoping to get to you before you because I kind of felt that you might fall off from wanting to watch the show after the first couple episodes. So after episode 3 ends and episode 4 begins, the show just explodes to life. I don't know what happened. I don't know if they threw in the first 3 episodes as just like a placeholder so that the show could be complete. But once episode 4 starts, Lucy as a character, Maximus, I mean, these characters just come to life. They have brimming personalities. They're bright, energetic. The plot moves forward at a very nice, steady pace, and things start to make sense. They actually start to explain what's happening to the world and people's past and stuff. And the show gets so good. I think in episode 8, the last episode, it starts to fizzle out. But it's like after those 3 episodes that, in my opinion, push some pretty heavy pandering in the beginning. Like, remember how I mentioned that thing with the POC character is supposed to get the position of the main character, but circumstance, throws
Oh,
that character in there?
I know exactly what you mean. The thing
Yeah, so
with the razor
y
thing.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah, that's
so yeah,
true. You're
she's
right.
supposed to become a knight, right? But that's like been Maximus's dream, like ever since he was rescued by them as a kid. And so
Right.
this clearly trans person gets the role of knight, the scrawny person who can barely lift a bag of grain or something. And but the she gets hurt. This person gets hurt, and all of a sudden Maximus has like a second disgruntled choice. They're like, all right, fine, you be the squire or whatever. And that's what they did. But you know what's so funny is that after those 3 episodes, you never see any woke weird situation ever again because they even try to push it a little bit onto Lucy as a character. You saw how she's like really good at everything in the beginning, and she also has like a negative view of America, like perpetuating America. But those things disappear at episode 4. Even Maximus, he transcends his stereotype and becomes and like an autistic vessel for players. And now for the faithfulness to the games, I've played all the games tons of times. They definitely changed some things, especially with New Vegas and the California Republic. They've changed some things, and it's interesting that they did change some things because these things they change contradict the games, and yet Todd Howard says it's canon. So there's so that brings up a lot of questions. But as far as capturing the spirit of the games, I think they did it very well, and also they created such a sick new character, the Ghoul, played by Walton Goggins.
Well,
This
Walton
guy,
Goggins is an actor that I really like. From what I saw of him, I was intrigued and I wanted to see more. But Walton Goggins in general, I've never seen that guy get a role and not do really well. The only time that he got a role and it just looked like, again, one of those situations that he collected the check and ran to the bank is Ant-Man and the Wasp, which they gave him some role as some kind of villain or semi-villain. So misused. It's like, why even hire him? He didn't even know what he was doing there, and we didn't know what he was doing there either. But usually,
yeah,
any other situation, Walton Goggins is usually really good.
Yeah, he plays like the damaged ghoul who's lived for like 200 years, constantly
Right.
being in fights. But he brings such energy to that role, man. It's actually insane. Like this dude lays out a performance that I think outshines the other people in the show.
It
I
doesn't
really,
surprise me.
yeah.
He's a really good actor. I mean,
Yeah, the writing for him is great too. Someone mentioned so I don't forget, it said capitalism caused the apocalypse. Yeah, that it's so weird. I'm not going to spoil it for those of you who actually want to watch it. They do go a different direction with like who's dropping the bombs and why. I know that like in the games, if I remember correctly, it was America who was actually the bad guy, sort of, because they were invading China in the history of the game. They were invading China and they were actually gaining ground. And China, what happened was that China became desperate. And if I hope I'm not remembering this wrong, because someone's going to be like, you're wrong. But then what happened was, in desperation, China launched a nuke. And then that caused a domino effect and a bunch of people launching nukes. And then we are in the wasteland that we know and love today. But they go a different direction in the show. Now, I don't disapprove of it, but it's like, if you're going to make it canon, I mean, my goodness, they changed a lot. So I don't know, because they say it's canon, but it contradicts so much of the original. And it's not like painfully horrible changes, but I think it's like thoughtlessness, or they didn't consider this or that. And then some things got lost in translation. But, overall, I'll say this. The show's better than Halo 2 or Halo Season 2. I think anything is. It's honestly, people hate me for this, but like, I've been watching Shogun and I like Shogun, but Shogun is slow in some spots as a TV show. And I
has
felt
that whole thing finished? I need to binge it. I somehow those two things I have to watch, Shogun and Fallout. Is Shogun done already?
no, the second to last episode just came out. So next week I think is the finale, and it's pretty good. But honestly, when I was watching Fallout, I'm just like, man, when it gets to like episode 5 and they really just start doing all the investigative stuff and the story really starts to pick up, it's just, I was taken along for a ride. So I was very delightfully surprised at how good the show becomes after the first few episodes that are not directed by Jonathan Nolan. You guys will be pretty surprised, actually. In fact, you will. This reminds me of something, and I'll explain it, because I've never been able to explain this before. If you don't mind, Price.
No, go on.
So this show, the first 3 episodes, it's like they advertised most of Fallout on these 3 episodes. They barely touch on some of the scenes in the future ones, but it's like the future episodes are what Fallout was supposed to be. The first 3, like the change in quality is so dramatic. Like the cinematography, the lighting, the makeup, especially the ghoul, you can tell there's a stark difference between his makeup in the first 3 episodes and the makeup from 4 and on. It's like whatever vision these people had later on in the show, Jonathan Nolan was just like, I'm just going to throw something together. And it's so unfair, because once you hit episode 4, it transforms.
So you think that Jonathan Nolan was actually the weak link here?
I do. I think that he was the weakest link. I think that, and it's so funny because he came out in interviews and he said, well, I'm not doing this for the fans. I'm just trying to create. It's clear he created his own vision for those 3 episodes, because 4 and on, that's Fallout. Episodes 1 through 3, it's like some Fallout stuff in a Jonathan Nolan thing, but it wasn't even written as good as I'm actually confused. I thought that Jonathan Nolan did episodes 4 and on, not the first 3, because his writing quality is not there, in my opinion.
I mean, I guess Jonathan Nolan isn't Christopher Nolan.
Well, hey, he did write The Dark Knight with Christopher. So,
yeah,
but I don't know who
mean,
wrote I don't know who did most of the work, but
I don't know. I'm not saying that he can't do anything, but I don't know. I mean, the thing with Jonathan Nolan, what I worry about when he's a showrunner of a show, is that you'll have the Westworld syndrome. Westworld has a first season, which is one of the best first seasons that I've seen for like a science fiction show. It's wonderful. And then the second that second season starts, it just goes downhill and just continues to go downhill rapidly. And I feel like it never really got any other good season. It's one good season and a bunch of crap afterwards, as far as I'm concerned, Westworld.
Yeah, someone confirmed that I remembered correctly about China, so I'm actually really glad about that. But yeah, but honestly, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I thought that episodes 4 through 7 were excellent. 8 kind of fizzled out, but you know what? Honestly, I keep saying honestly, but the Ghoul, I want to see more of him. I hope in season 2 we get way more Ghoul. That dude is like a Western icon right now. I love him. Such a great character.
Like I said, Walton Goggins in general. You had that show, what Eastbound and Down. No, wait, it wasn't that. It was Vice Principals. He's amazing in that show. He's amazing. You give Walton Goggins comedy, you give him drama. He was also in The Shield. You give him drama, you give him comedy. He always steps up. He's a really good character actor. I've never seen something where I thought Walton Goggins didn't really deliver something great. He's a very solid character actor, and by far, just by seeing, I've watched the first few episodes. By everything that I saw, he's the best actor in this cast. I don't think there's anybody in this cast that's a better actor. Forget about his role. I don't think that there's anybody on the cast that's a better actor than him.
I don't think so either. Like ever since I saw him in Justified, and just like all the crazy things he does in that show, and then
right, that
the Hateful Eight, and I've just seen him in so many things, but he's always so good. But this one, man, you ever seen like that Western bad guy, that anti-hero? I mean, he nails that thing, man. He nails that anti-hero role.
I believe it. I totally think that he would, and it doesn't surprise me at all. So I'm gonna. That's the one takeaway when I watched the first few episodes is that like when I saw him, I'm like, oh, like that actually looks cool. So for me, he's like the main draw, even now, and because I like the actor, so I was actually looking forward to seeing more of what they do with him. The Lucy girl, I'm still ambivalent about. I don't know if she becomes more likable as I move forward. I didn't hate her, I guess, but
so let me touch upon that too. So I'm so glad I caught you before you decided to give up on the show, or if you ever considered it. It was the one thing I was thinking about. I'm like, I got to talk to Price about this. And also just to clarify really quick from someone's earlier comment, the autistic vessel thing with Maximus, that what I meant by that was, you know how in the game you can go up to an NPC, Price, you may not know this, but in the games, Bethesda games, you can just walk up to an NPC and be like, hey, where's your power generators? Where's your kitchen? And then that NPC would be like, take a turn down the left, and there it is. Here's the key code. And that's what Maximus does later on. He becomes a vessel for the player. And when I say he acts kind of autistic, I mean it. Like his delivery on certain lines. But what he does is he goes up to certain NPCs later on and he's like, hey, where do you guys get your power from? And I think that that's a nod to the games. And of course the guy tells him because he ends up in the power room later. So a little fun nod, but that's what Maximus does a lot. He ends up becoming the person that the player would see themselves as he's going around, drinking from the champagne, putting on the robes and slippers, and just doing all sorts of things that you would see players do. And then when it comes to Lucy, so Lucy was the thing I was most worried about. But by episode, I think late 3 to episode 4, she's forced to change in a certain way. You'll see that she's basically forced to come to terms with her reality. And her character just comes to life. You start to see her good-natured personality. She believes in helping other people. She always encourages Maximus, and even kind of they have a good chemistry together too. And she comes into her own as a character, and I end up liking her, which is really crazy. Even and the showrunners too, you'll notice later, they kind of lean into her beauty and her personality.
At least she's easy on the eyes. I mean, that's one thing that I said to myself. Well, at least they didn't choose one of those weird, 500 pound life kind of people. At least they brought a lady who's easy on the eyes. I didn't look at her and think, oh, this is awful. I thought, oh, okay.
Yeah, they really try to show off how pretty she is later in the show. And that's the thing about it. It
Oh,
just
you
becomes
already sold me on the show. Now I have to watch it.
they really do. It's actually kind of crazy. Like in the first 3 episodes, for example, okay, one drastic change you'll see is in the first 3, she's got a really baggy blue outfit, to represent her vault that she comes from. Like they try to like flatten everything and make it look all baggy. But then when episode 4 comes around or she gets in the new vault outfit, it's like they just show off all her bodily features and they have like close-ups of her face and her crazy pretty eyes, and they just do those things that you see in TV shows that are actually trying to like craft something visually pleasing and verbally.
I feel like there was a mutiny on this show. It started with like Jonathan Nolan being annoying, and somebody said, "Hey, step aside," and like did
That's what I
something good.
thought. That's what I thought. I was thinking there had to have been 2 show like there were clearly 2 visions in this show. The people who wrote episodes 4 and on, and then Jonathan Nolan's. I was wondering, I was like, it could have been 2 things. Maybe Jonathan Nolan came in to rewrite the first 3 to push a message, and it just ended up not being as good, or the first 3 episodes were really him and the showrunner's ideas, and then these other writers who saw the first 3 were like, "No, I bet we can do better," and they did. But those are the running theories I had about it.
Interesting. Well, now I'm
Yeah.
definitely going to pay attention to it. I'll watch that before Shogun. Shogun interested me, but I don't know. At least with Fallout, there's all the episodes at once. With Shogun, it's each week and another one, another one. I
Oh.
think that kind of discouraged me.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually I like the show. I think it's because it's really faithful to the book, because I actually have been reading about the book and trying to compare the scenes, but the show's good. I think it's just a little bit slow sometimes, but it's not a bad one. I think I compared it in that conversation because like I was talking to Nerdporio about this the other night. I'm like, we're watching Shogun and we're watching Fallout at the same time because like we're keeping up with all that. But I just found myself enjoying Fallout during those episodes more than I did for Shogun. And I find that to be a very important information for myself, just because, like I like both. I like Samurai and I like Fallout. But the fact that it just goes to show how well crafted that part of the story was, because I enjoyed that pacing and that storytelling way more in some ways. But it's weird, maybe my mind will change about it later. But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what you think about Fallout after you watch it.
I'm gonna have to
Because
watch
it's
it
like
now.
it's just so okay. Remember when I said it reminded me of something? The same thing happened in The Order season 2. And I don't know if you ever watched The Order. It was a Netflix show where this guy goes to college with vampires and werewolves and fairy tale creatures. He gets all caught up in their inner war or whatever. Season 1 was really good. Season 2 had really heavy DEI messaging in the first 4 episodes, right? They like seriously push it. Completely separate story, it seemed like. The filming was way off. They were trying to push a bunch of gay relationships, whatnot, et cetera, et cetera. The moment episode 5 aired, they completely undid in the first 5 minutes of that next episode everything that had happened in the prior 4. And the show just took off and exploded from there. And that was exactly what I was thinking about with Fallout. It's just so weird how they do that kind of thing. It's just like the
I
first half of the show sucks, and then the second half is like, what?
now there has to be like a full investigation into this. I'm gonna check it out. To be fair though, whenever I saw until now, I didn't think it was the worst thing ever. I think that it certainly needs to pick up a bit, but I didn't look at it and think that like I hate it. I just thought, I didn't really know what to think, but I'm gonna give it a chance for sure. I'm gonna watch more of it, and
Yeah, that's the one thing that someone pointed out with Shogun, is that Blackthorn kind of takes more of a back seat in the show, as opposed to the books where it's mostly from his perspective. But in the show, they've added, and yeah, I agree with that. I've the one thing I've constantly asked myself during Shogun is just like, what the heck is Blackthorn doing? He's just kind of standing around a lot,
did they
and
add a
that's one of
bunch
the
of like
gripes.
ladies to boss him around or no?
They fleshed out some of the stories of the ladies. So what that does is take up more time than Blackthorn. And
I
Blackthorn's just
see.
kind of like begging. He's just like, "Hey, can I do something?" And then all the Japanese characters just like, "Nah, you just sit there more." But yeah.
I see. Well, I think that on that note, since it's getting kind of late, Unless you want to bring something else up.
No, I think I've buzzed myself out. Yeah.
We've covered all the topics of the day, and I think we did it very extensively. Such a great chat today. Just such a great group of people here on all platforms. Thank you to our Rumble audience. It was always really great. You guys showing up, and
Yes.
on YouTube we got some nice people too that also that we know, and it was just a really fun stream. And I think we're gonna look forward to seeing you on Thursday night. Before we go, I want to tell you that Dread Roberts has wonderful videos, and especially if you want to know all that kind of stuff that's happening with DEI and what's being billed as Gamergate 2, whether rightfully so or not. Uh, I don't know if there's other places that you could find more thorough and more better explained reporting than what's happening on Dread Roberts channels. So whatever platform you're using, just enter Dread Roberts, which is DREADROBERTS, and you'll find him. And I highly recommend his channel. And I'm Price of Reason, and I'm thankful that you were here and that you watched with us. And I guess we can wish you a good night, I guess.
Yes, you all have a good night. Thanks for all the chats, guys. Rob, everybody, and me and Price love you guys.
See you guys next time.
Later.